Part 12. Martial Arts, Become Invincible starting from the full-level magic system. Author, Drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 111. Everyone in the Peach Blossom Temple deserves to be killed. Sure enough, as he thought, the so-called begging for a child in the Peach Blossom Temple is just a despicable and dirty method. This is because these Taoist priests never kill people or steal money, and they use incense to stun them every time they commit a crime. The victimized woman. When the victimized woman woke up, she would only feel that she had had a dream in which the peach blossom god gave them a child, so she was never discovered. After Xiao Wuji killed more than a dozen Taoist priests, he came to the courtyard and heard there was a sound of rapid footsteps. Come on, he's here. Damn it, you actually dare to ruin my good deeds, I can't spare him. With a burst of low roars and curses, 20 or 30 men dressed as Taoist priests rushed into the small courtyard. They were all holding swords and had fleshy faces. They looked at Xiao Wuji with ferocious killing intent in their eyes. What is this? Taoist priests? They are clearly a group of bandits. Boy, you are the one who ruined the good things of the elders, right? Nosy idiot, today is your Memorial Day next year. Come on, kill him for me and throw his body into the back mountain to feed the wolves. The man at the head brandished his sword and roared. After giving the order, the people behind him immediately rushed towards Xiao Wuji. Seeking death. Xiao Wuji slapped his palm with his backhand, and the golden dragon roared out, piercing through all the 20 or 30 people who came forward. 60-70 there was a loud bang, and the wall of the small courtyard was penetrated by the golden dragon. All the people who rushed up were shattered into pieces, and no bones were left. Only the leader who stood motionless was left. First, innately strong. When the leader saw that Xiao Wuji could release his true energy and kill 20 or 30 people with one palm, he was so frightened that his whole body shivered and his liver and gallbladder were split. He was born to release his true energy. That was something that only an innate strong person could do. How could it be him? Can an ordinary warrior resist? There was a clang, and the sword in his hand fell to the ground. The leader knelt down with a thud and kowtowed quickly to beg for mercy. My hero, please forgive me, my hero, please forgive me. I don't dare to do it anymore. I beg you. The hero gives the villain a way out. There is an 80-year-old mother on the top of the villain, and a child waiting to be fed below. God has the virtue of good life, please be kind to the heroes and forgive the villains for once. The villain never dares to do it again, never again. The big man cried heartbrokenly and kowtowed until blood flowed all over the floor, as if he had really realized his mistake and repented. But Xiao Wuji didn't believe this. He pointed out 6 times in an instant. 5 of them disabled the big man's limbs. The last finger crippled his dantian, turning him into a complete useless person. The big man screamed, flew backwards, and lay on the ground wailing miserably. Killing him like this was too cheap for him, and he should bear the consequences of life being worse than death. After everything was done, Xiao Wuji took out a fireworks arrow from his arms and fired it into the sky. This was the Jinyue summoning order, and only those who were deputy to 1,000 households or above were qualified to use it. Seeing the summoning order, the surrounding hundreds of households and Jinyue from less than 100 households must rush to the location of the summoning order as soon as possible to listen to the order. Xiao Lang, are you okay? Su Weiner hid in the corner and asked with her eyes closed. She had heard the big man's begging for mercy and screams before. But she kept listening to Xiao Wuji's words and did not open her eyes. Although Su Weiner had seen Xiao Wuji chop him down with a knife. She killed the flower picker, but Xiao Wuji still didn't want her to see these bloody scenes. It'll be fine soon. Xiao Wuji helped Su Weiner walk out of the backyard, killing more than a dozen Taoist priests from the Peach Blossom Temple along the way. It wasn't until he came to the entrance of the Peach Blossom Temple that Su Weiner opened his eyes. After waiting for a while, there were 2 squads of Jinyue General Banner. Came over in a hurry. Bai Hu, who led the team, was an old acquaintance, and it turned out to be Yang Zhenjie, who had been beaten violently by Xiao Wuji. "Oh, isn't this Yang Beihu? Is your injury healed?" When Xiao Wuji saw Yang Zhenjie, he sneered playfully. Xiao Wuji, why are you here?" When Yang Zhenjie saw Xiao Wuji, his expression immediately changed. What did you call me?" Xiao Wuji's tone suddenly changed, with a hint of coldness. Yang Zhenjie's mouth twitched, and although he was reluctant, he still bent down and saluted, "My subordinate Yang Zhenjie, please see Mr. Qinhu." The 2 general flag squads behind Yang Zhenjie also bowed respectfully and saluted, waiting for orders. People under the eaves had to bow their heads. Today's Xiao Wuji is no longer the Xiao Wuji he used to be. Who doesn't know about the current Bijin Fuzi? Xiao Wuji's famous name? Not only is he powerful, but he is also a genuine deputy Qinhu. And Yang Zhenjie is just a humble Beihu. If there is Li Lin behind him, Yang Zhenjie may be more courageous. But it is a pity. Now that even Li Lin is dead, Yang Zhenjie has lost his biggest supporter. Now in Bijin Fuzi, Yang Zhenjie has no one behind him. Everyone knows that he has offended Xiao Wuji, and no one wants to get close to him. No one wants to die because of Yang Zhenjie to offend the promising Xiao Wuji. Yang Zhenjie has been pushed into a corner by everyone. Without the opportunity to make meritorious deeds, Yang Zhenjie can only lead a team to go out on patrol to see if he can catch a few thieves. No matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat. He had no choice now. Yang Zhenjie never expected that he had already avoided Xiao Wuji and left, but he still bumped into Xiao Wuji. "God, you are trying to kill me." Yang Zhenjie was about to cry but had no tears. He bowed to Xiao Wuji to the end and said respectfully, "Master Qinhu, in the past, my subordinates overestimated their capabilities and offended Master Qinhu. Please forgive me, Master Qinhu. Next time, the subordinates are willing to swear allegiance to Master Qinhu to the death, and will go through fire and water without hesitation." Yang Zhenjie humbly begged for mercy, with a very humble and respectful attitude. Since he can't beat him, he can only join. Although he knows that Xiao Wuji is unlikely to accept him, he must at least settle the past grudges. Otherwise, Xiao Wuji will really hold a grudge in the future. There is no way for him to survive. Yang Zhenjie has witnessed with his own eyes how Xiao Wuji has risen all the way. Now he has absolutely no idea of against Xiao Wuji. Knowing that the enemy is strong and powerful, but insisting on going against him, is not to rather die than surrender. That's stupid. Yang Zhenjie has been a Beihu for more than 10 years, so of course he won't be that stupid. Xiao Wuji looked at the humble and respectful Yang Zhenjie, and smiled in surprise. "Yang Beihu, you change your face so quickly." "Ah. I'm not used to you being like this now, but I still like your unruly look before." As soon as these words came out, Yang Zhenjie's expression changed, thinking that Xiao Wuji was still remembering the past. Just when he was about to speak, he heard Xiao Wuji say, "Okay, let's not mention the past in advance. I have called you here today for something important." "Yang Zhenjie, the subordinates are here. You and your people immediately blockade the Peach Blossom Temple and arrest all the Taoist priests in the Peach Blossom Temple. No one can escape. Also, there are many trapped women inside, you need to rescue them." Yang Zhenjie respectfully accepted the order and replied, "I obey." After saying that, Yang Zhenjie waved his hand and led 2 flag teams of more than 80 people into the Peach Blossom Temple. Many Taoist priests were fleeing in all directions, but because Xiao Wuji blocked the door, they had no way to escape. Although hiding in a corner, he was still found and caught. The Jinyue made a lot of noise about arresting people. In addition, Xiao Wuji's previous killings made a big fuss in the Peach Blossom Temple. The common people stood aside, pointing at Jinyue, and talking among themselves. What happened? Why did Jin Yiwei come to Dehua Temple to arrest people? Could it be that there are fugitives hiding here? No way, there are only Taoist priests in Peach Blossom Temple. Where are the fugitives? Look, that's Taoist Kong he was also arrested. I remember him. Last time he took my wife to the backyard to worship the peach blossom god. After returning, my wife became pregnant. Taoist priest Kong he is a very good man. Alas, how come such a good person was arrested? Jin Yiwei really does many evil things. This group of Jin Yiwei are like wolves and tigers. I really don't know when someone will punish them. The common people were ignorant and thought that the Jin Yiwei were all cruel and evil officials, and the Taoist priests in Peach Blossom Temple were all good people. But as the vicious Taoist priests were arrested one by one, the women with messy clothes and unconsciousness were rescued one by one. The crowd of onlookers instantly it exploded. At this time, how could they not understand what happened? How could these Taoist priests be good people? They are clearly a group of evil thieves who harm women. This Peach Blossom Temple is a complete devil's cave. Fortunately, they rushed over eagerly with the female family members. This is simply sending the female family members into the devil's cave with their own hands. Beast. What a beast. The eyes of a group of big men suddenly turned red, veins popped up on their necks, and they were crazy with hatred. These damn beasts deserve to die. I can't spare them. Alas, did your mother-in-law get pregnant after coming to Peach Blossom Temple? No, my mother-in-law has never been here before. No, I heard you say this morning. Didn't you come to Peach Blossom Temple today just to fulfill your vows and thank the Peach Blossom God? No, no, don't talk nonsense. My mother-in-law has never been here. The one who has been here is the mother-in-law of Lao Li's family. Yeah? Did I remember it wrong? You just remembered it wrong. Lao Wang's mother-in-law has also been here. Since Lao Wang's wife became pregnant, Lao Wang doesn't know how happy he is. He finally has a child. But now this happened on 3.1. Oh, what a sin. These damn thieves really don't deserve to die. Thanks to Jin Yiwei for catching them out, otherwise I don't know how many people would have been kept in the dark. These Jin Yiwei are really a good group of people. The truth of the matter was revealed, and the news spread throughout the peach blossom forest in an instant. There were many onlookers standing nearby eating melons with curious expressions on their faces. They were all wives and daughters at home who had never been to the Peach Blossom Temple. Since the wife and daughter at home, the girl has never been here before, so this matter has nothing to do with them. They are purely here to watch the fun. This incident just poked by Xian's heart of gossip. Is there anything more eye-catching than the affairs between men and women? There were many people among them who were livid and gnashing their teeth in hatred. Finally, someone couldn't help it, and rushed forward to punch and kick a Taoist priest. It seemed that he wanted to beat the Taoist priest to death. There were two of them, and a group of men rushed forward, beating the Taoist priests wildly. Miserable cries of begging for mercy rang out, and those Taoist priests were beaten to death in the blink of an eye. If there were no guards in golden clothes to stop them, those Taoist priests would definitely be beaten to death. Look at their faces, I knew that these men were all cuckolded victims. Seeing others pointing fingers, these victims were so embarrassed and angry that they wanted to find a hole to crawl into, and left bitterly. Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full-level magic system. Author, Drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 112. I really didn't expect that Peach Blossom Temple is actually a devil's cave. Xiao Lang, I am really grateful to you today. Su Wan'er looked at the captured Taoist priest, with a pale face and a look of fear. If she hadn't come with Xiao Wuji today, she would definitely not have been able to escape the clutches of the devil. If her innocence was really taken away by these evil thieves, how could she have recovered her innocence? Have the nerve to survive? Miss, it's a good thing you didn't come alone before. The maid Xiaolan was also very scared. In fact, Su Weiner wanted to come to the Peach Blossom Temple as early as half a month ago. At that time, Xiao Wuji was still out on a mission and had not returned. Fortunately, Su's father and Su's mother advised him, saying that it was not safe outside, so let him. She waited for Xiao Wuji to come back and temporarily comforted Su Weiner. Fortunately, Su's father and mother Su valued their only daughter more than her life and protected her properly. Otherwise, the consequences would be disastrous. Xiao Wuji hugged Su Weiner and comforted her. The world is dangerous. There are despicable and nasty people everywhere, so you should be more careful when you go out in the future. Su Weiner nodded quickly, I will never go out again. I will only go out if I am with you, Xiao Lang. Xiao Wuji shook his head and laughed, knowing that Su Weiner was bitten by a snake once and was afraid of well ropes for 10 years. However, she was originally a homebody and could not go out a few times throughout the year. She thought she would not be in danger so easily. What happened today can only be said to have happened by chance. Grown-ups. At this time, Yang Zhenjia came over and saluted respectfully. All the people in Peach Blossom Temple have been arrested and brought to justice, and no one has escaped the net. Xiao Wuji nodded and said, I'll leave the follow-up matters to you. Those women who have been victimized must be well placed. Those evil thieves from Peach Blossom Temple should be interrogated by this officer, and all the methods of imprisonment should be used on them. Don't let them die before your methods are exhausted. Yang Zhenjia smiled and said, I understand. As a Jinyue, Yang Zhenjia also hates such evil thieves who harm women, and naturally he will not make it easy for them. What awaits them will be endless torture that is worse than life. What is Lingqi? They should live but not die. Deserved end. Go ahead. Yes, my subordinate resigned. Yang Zhenjia clasped his fists in salute and left happily. This Peach Blossom Temple incident was an opportunity for him. Although he did not destroy the Devil's Cave with his own hands, he still made a contribution. The most important thing is that he and Xiao Wuji, the relationship has been eased. You must know that after Xiao Wuji was promoted to deputy Qinhu and Li Lin died, Yang Zhenjia never slept peacefully, for fear of being retaliated by Xiao Wuji one day. Tonight, he could finally sleep, have a good sleep. Doesn't Xiao Lang need to deal with official business? We can go back by ourselves. Seeing Xiao Wuji handing the matter over to Yang Zhenjia, Su Weiner couldn't help but ask. Xiao Wuji said, this case is not a big one and I don't need to handle it personally. The Peach Blossom Temple case is clear and clear. It is just a group of despicable villains who took advantage of the situation. There are not so many twists and turns behind it, and there is no need for Xiao Wuji to try it personally. When they are imprisoned by Jinyue, those villains will naturally be punished accordingly. Besides, Xiao Wuji is now the deputy Qinhu of Jinyue, and he handles major cases. For such a small case, why does Xiao Wuji need to personally take action? After such a disgusting thing happened, Su Weiner was naturally not in the mood to stay in the Peach Blossom Forest. Now, Xiao Wuji sent Su Weiner back to Jinling City in advance, and the two of them wandered on the street. It must be said that a woman's talent for shopping is buried in her bones and passed down from generation to generation. Su Weiner looked weak, and usually never left the door or took a step forward. It seems that I will faint from exhaustion after walking for a few steps. But when I go shopping, I feel strong and strong. I can even walk 7 or 8 streets without gasping for breath, as if I have been given chicken blood. Xiao Lang, look, there is an endgame there, let's go and have a look. Su Weiner pulled Xiao Wuji to a small stall, which was a go stall. There was a set of endgames on the chessboard, and anyone who was interested could go up and solve the game. In the world of martial arts, there are many such roadside endgames. As long as after paying half a tael of silver, you can go up and solve the chess game. If you win, you will get a prize. There are many types of prizes, including 10 taels of silver ingots, jade pendants, ancient books, piano scores, and chess scores. Most of them are ancient things. But this kind of prizes and games are often scams, and winning is due to the people's greed for petty gains. Winning chess? How can it be so easy? Anyone who dares to come up with endgames has 2 brushes, and must be proficient in chess skills. And he must have solved this endgame for many years. Any chess path is already in his mind. No matter where the chess player places his moves, he has a way to deal with it. If he wants to win, he can only say that there is little hope. Xiao Lang, let's go solve chess too. Seeing that a chess solver failed, Su Weiner also became interested. Su Weiner is proficient in piano, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Apart from piano skills, the most proficient thing is chess skills. And the prize happened to include piano scores and chess scores, both of which she wanted. Xiao Wuji smiled and said, since you are interested, go ahead and give it a try. Anyway, you only need half a tael of silver to solve chess at a time. Just think of it as having fun and relieving your boredom. The stall owner who played the game is a middle-aged man in his 30s. He is very handsome and has a bookish air about him, as if he is a scientist. A failed talent who had failed in the exams for many years. Seeing that Su Weiner was interested, he cupped his hands and said with a smile, Miss, if you are proficient in chess skills, you can come up and show them to your best. Xiao Sheng has been suffering from this problem for many years, but he still has no solution. I am just looking for someone to clear up my confusion. Afterwards, Xiao Wuji paid the money, and Su Weiner sat opposite the scholar, playing black first. The 2 of them went back and forth, and soon they played more than 20 moves. At the beginning, Su Weiner's chess moves were very fast, and she didn't even think about it. It requires more thinking, and every move is made in an instant. But after more than 20 moves, Su Weiner's chess moves slowed down. After 30 moves, Black's defeat was determined, and there was no way to recover. I lost. Sir, you are good at chess. Su Weiner shook her head helplessly, abandoning her son and admitting defeat. Xiao Wuji had been watching from the sidelines, and he already knew the distribution of the endgame from the first game. It can only be said that it is not that Su Weiner is too weak, but that the scholar is too strong. Xiao Lang, you should try it too. Your chess skills are better than mine, and you may be able to break this game. Su Weiner said to Xiao Wuji with a smile. Xiao Wuji and Su Weiner often play chess. Su Weiner is very clear about Xiao Wuji's chess skills. It can be said that he is far superior to her. Oh, does this young man also know how to play chess? Since you are proficient in chess, you might as well play a game. It just so happened that Xiao Lang Jun paid 1 or 2 pieces of silver just now, and he could solve the problem twice. The scholar said to Xiao Wuji with a smile. Xiao Wuji nodded and sat down. His fiancée failed to break the game, so naturally he, the fiancé, wanted to find his way back. The game ended again. After recovering, Xiao Wuji held a sunspot in his hand and landed on the 5th or 6th position. As soon as the sunspot fell, there was a sudden exclamation from the surroundings. Can this person play chess? If you don't know how to do it, don't do it randomly. How can anyone play chess like this? Isn't this here to cause trouble? Everyone in the audience was puzzled and talked a lot. Just because Xiao Wuji's son fell, he cut off his own retreat and cut off a big dragon in his family. Even Su Weiner could not help but frown slightly, not understanding what Xiao Wuji was doing at this moment. The scholar was stunned for a moment, then said with a wry smile, Xiao Lang Jun, are you really not here to cause trouble? Xiao Wuji said, my move is to put yourself to death and live again. You will know the effect soon. Come on, it's your turn. Hearing this, the scholar picked up a white stone and dropped it. Ignoring Xiao Wuji's rhythm, he took the opportunity to expand his own advantage. The two of them went back and forth, and the moves were very fast, as if they didn't need to think. In the blink of an eye, 2 pieces had already been dropped. More than 10 lots. Alas, I lost. Let me just say, how can anyone play chess like this? Isn't this just asking for death? Behind Xiao Wuji, an old man was stroking his beard and shaking his head repeatedly. Because the defeat of the black piece on the chessboard has been determined, and there is no way to recover. Zialang Jun, you lose. The scholar looked at Xiao Wuji and said with a smile. Xiao Wuji's expression remained unchanged and he said calmly, the victory or defeat will be revealed only in the end. It is too early to talk about victory or defeat now. After he finished speaking, Xiao Wuji dropped a sunspot, which hit Tian Yuan. The moment this sunspot fell, the sound was like a thunderous explosion, which made the onlookers' brains go blank and were dumbfounded. Just because Xiao Wuji dropped the sunspot, he actually came alive. The dead dragon turned defeat into victory in an instant. The situation of black and white on the field changed drastically. The scholar looked at this hand with dull eyes, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead, which instantly turned into beads of sweat. This is impossible. The scholar couldn't believe it, and he quickly held up the white pieces. But as the black chess offensive became more and more fierce, the white chess pieces were defeated one after another, and they were instantly defeated. Xiao Wuji became more and more courageous, but the scholar played slower and slower, and finally fell into a long test with a helpless sigh. The scholar chose to abandon his son and surrender. Xiao Langjun is a master of chess, and I am ashamed of myself. As he said that, the scholar stood up and bowed to Xiao Wuji. The people watching the chess game around him also sighed. It can only be said that Xiao Wuji's level is too high and they can't understand it. Xiao Lang, you are so awesome. Suwaner looked at Xiao Wuji with a look of admiration. Xiao Wuji touched Suwaner's hair and smiled. When the scholar saw this, he immediately said, the young man is very skilled in chess. Just seeing you, how about we two play another game? Xiao Wuji took a deep look at the scholar, shook his head and said, forget it today, we still have things to do. That's such a shame. The scholar looked sad and said, please let me choose the prize. Take whatever you like. Today, Xiao Langjun broke through this endgame and finally solved his next wish. Xiao Wuji looked at Suwaner and asked, what do you want? Suwaner looked at the chess records behind the scholar and said, I want that one. When the scholar heard this, he immediately took the chess book and handed it to Suwaner. After getting the chess book, Xiao Wuji directly pulled Suwaner and turned around to leave without lingering. The onlookers saw that the game was over and they also left one after another. The middle-aged scholar looked at Xiao Wuji, his back seemed to be deep in thought, and suddenly he smiled strangely. How is this person? Any ideas? In the restaurant behind the middle-aged scholar, an old man wearing white clothes and white beard and hair walked out. The old man had a childish face and a hale and hearty spirit. He had an air of immortality, like an immortal who had practiced Taoism in the mountains for many years. His eyes were extremely deep, and there seemed to be something like covering the heaven and earth, the sun, moon, and stars, full of infinite vicissitudes. The disciple pays homage to Master Guang. Seeing this old man, the middle-aged scholar immediately bowed and saluted with the utmost respect, and replied, this man's destiny is strange, like the stars in the sky, elusive. I'm sorry for my poor academic skills. When playing chess with this person, I repeatedly calculated, reasoned, and looked at his bones, but I still couldn't see through his numerology. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full level magic system. Author, drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 113. His martial and celestial fortunes seemed to be covered up, and no one else could pry into them. Ha 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 ha, it's already amazing to be able to see this. Disciple, you are ready to become a disciple. The old man stroked his white beard and laughed. Master, my disciple doesn't understand. The old man smiled and said, this man has a peculiar destiny, which is rare in the world and can be said to be rare in 1,000 years. The purple energy coming from the east is so precious. This is a hidden dragon. As soon as the opportunity comes, it can soar into the sky and soar 90,000 miles. Even as a teacher, I can only pry into something. How can this be? The middle-aged scholar was shocked. Who is his master? He is the old man Tianji who claims to know all the secrets of heaven and win half the world. There is nothing in the world that his master does not know. What is the destiny of a mortal? His master only needs to see. He could clearly see it at a glance. Even the fate of the emperors of various countries could not escape the prying eyes of his master. But now facing Xiaoji, his master actually said that he could only pry into it. How could this not shock him? Could it be that Xiaoji is Wuji's fate more valuable than the emperors of other countries? The old man sighed and said, the world is like a chess game, and everything is unpredictable. How can the truth between heaven and earth be clearly understood by mere mortals? Disciple, you are obsessed. The middle-aged scholar was shocked when he heard this and said respectfully, thank you, Master, for your teaching. As expected by his disciple, Xiaoji's current strength is by no means limited to this. I'm afraid that what he shows now is just a drop in the bucket. The old man shook his head and said, no need to change, just publish the list according to the current list. The middle-aged scholar bowed respectfully and said, yes, I accept the order. When the middle-aged scholar looked up, he found that the old man 020 had disappeared. No one knew when he left, and he never made a sound. Such Qinggong can be said to be unpredictable. The middle-aged scholar took a deep breath and stood at his feet. At one point, it turned into a rock bird and flew into the sky. With one flash of teleport, it could teleport 7 or 8 feet away. As the middle-aged scholar walked farther and farther, his speed became faster and faster. In the end, the middle-aged scholar, the young scholar, came to a high tower in Jinling City. He put his hands on his back and looked down at Jinling City below, as if the heaven and earth were surrendering under his feet. He stretched out his right hand and grabbed Jinling City, as if he wanted to pull down the entire city. The city was grasped in the palm of his hand. In an instant, the true energy exploded, and the momentum surged, like a mountain rising from the ground, reaching straight into the sky. The middle-aged scholar's momentum at this moment has reached the level of a Grand Master, and it is not the early or middle stage of the Grand Master, at least in the later stage. Where is the Master here? An angry shout rang out from Bijin Fuzi, and a figure was seen shooting out from Bijin Fuzi and heading straight towards the tower. The person who came was clearly Yuan Xiong. But when Yuan Xiong arrived at the tower, there was no one on it. Figure. Everything before seemed to be an illusion and had never happened. But Yuan Xiong's face was solemn and he did not dare to be careless at all. His perception was not wrong. There was a peerless master at the level of a Grand Master who appeared here before. Generally speaking, as long as the Grand Master does not unbridledly explode his powerful true energy, it will be difficult to be discovered. Just like when Xiaoji killed the 7 evils of Mobei that night, although he showed the Grand Master level true energy momentum, it only lasted for a moment. So Yuan Xiong did not discover it. The only people who rushed to the scene were the soldiers of the White Tiger Legion who heard the fighting. And a great master like a middle-aged scholar who burst out his true energy will be regarded as a provocation. Jinyue, Liamen, and Dong the factory will send people to investigate. Oops, I accidentally made a mistake, Via, what should I do? The middle-aged scholar was walking on the street. At this moment, he had restrained his aura and was no different from an ordinary failed scholar. He looked at the tower in the distance with a smirk on his lips. Of course it was impossible to provoke the Zhou dynasty. He just did a test just now, wanting to test the reactions of the three major forces in Jinling City. As he expected, the first one to arrive was the strong man from Jinyue. If Jinling City is no longer peaceful, I should leave. The middle-aged scholar carried the suitcase and cage on his back and slowly left Jinling City. Time passed and the 7-day holiday was over. Xiao Wuji and Su Weiner spent an unforgettable 7 days, and finally left Wenwen Township behind on this day and went to Bijinfu Si. When he arrived at the Kinhu office, Xiao Wuji saw many Jinyi guards whispering to each other and discussing with each other. Have you all heard about it? Tianji Pavilion reopened. Yes, yes, as soon as the list came out, the world was in chaos. 2 days ago, Xiao Kaiyu, a fierce swordsman, challenged Lei Jian of the Lei family in front of the city gate. The two fought more than 100 moves. In the end, Lei Jian lost to Xiao Kaiyu and had one of his arms cut off, and he became a useless person from then on. Xiao Kaiyu became famous in one battle and became famous all over the world. So what if he becomes famous? Xiao Kaiyu cut off Lei Jian's arm and formed a deadly feud with the Lei family from then on. He was afraid that he would be killed soon. Alas, Tianji Pavilion is reopening. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. What are you talking about? So lively. Xiao Wuji's voice sounded, and many imperial guards immediately turned around and saluted respectfully. The subordinates see Mr. Kinhu. Xiao Wuji nodded and asked again, what are you talking about? Shuehua stepped forward and said, back to your lord, let's talk about Tianji Pavilion again. Tianji Pavilion? Hasn't it been closed for many years? Tianji Pavilion is a powerful force in the world. No one knows where the sect is, and its origin is extremely mysterious. It is said that Tianji Pavilion has been passed down for more than 1,000 years, as long as the two sects of Buddhism and Taoism. Even a dynasty will be annihilated in the long river of history. But only Tianji Pavilion and the two sects of Buddhism and Taoism have always existed and endured for a long time. Tianji Pavilion is neither good nor evil, neither good nor evil. It does not interfere in the grievances of the world and only focuses on the intelligence business. The masters of Tianji Pavilion in the past dynasties are known as lying to observe the secrets of heaven, drunk watching the floating clouds move and the bright moon. We discuss success and failure, and laugh about the vicissitudes of life in the past and present. There is no secret in the world that Tianji Pavilion doesn't know. Tianji Pavilion has even formulated many lists to count the world's heroes, magical weapons, and stunning beauties. Among them, the Tian list records the 36 powerful masters in the world. The list records 72 powerful masters under the age of 60. The list of people, also known as the Qianlong list, records 100 outstanding young men under the age of 30. The list of weapons records the world's magic weapons, and the list of rouge records the stunning beauties in the world. There are also lists of talented people, famous generals, great scholars, rich people, etc. Back then, every time Tianji Pavilion announced the list, it would attract warriors from all over the world. In order to compete for it, ranking on the list, many martial arts masters are even more stupid. You kill me, I kill you, I don't know how much bloodshed it caused. The martial arts only killed corpses everywhere and blood flowed into rivers. Only in the second 10 years ago, Tianji Pavilion suddenly announced the closure of the pavilion for unknown reasons. Since then, the major lists have not been updated. In the past 20 years, it is not that other forces have stepped forward to rank the heroes of the world. It's just that they ranked none of the lists that came out were recognized, and in the end they all made people laugh. There was only one list that was slightly authoritative, and that was the black list formulated by the Great Zhou dynasty. The so-called black list can also be said to be the devil list and the bounty list. You can be on it. The people on the black list are all people who have done many evil things and have their hands stained with blood. They are all the people that the Zhou dynasty wants to get rid of. Among them, the ones at the top of the black list are the many masters of the demon sect. The leader of the demon sect, Shangguan Wu Tao, and the 3 demons and 6 emperors, these 10 people occupy the top 10 positions on the black list. However, except for the leader of the demon cult who has a name, the other 9 people all have unknown appearances, unknown ages, and unknown genders. Except for their code names, all others are unknown. Don't know anything. Tianji Pavilion has reopened the list again. Xiao Wuji asked. That's right. Song Liman replied. A few days ago, Tianji Pavilion was reborn and announced the latest heaven ranking, earth ranking, hidden dragon ranking, rouge ranking, and other rankings. Now it has caused an uproar in the world. At this moment, I am somewhat interested in the top 3 lists of heaven, earth, and people. Shuihua said excitedly, Sir, your name is also on the list. Oh? Even me? That's right, and it's not the Qianlong list. As he said that, Shuihua handed over a list. It was the latest list released by Tianji Pavilion, which recorded 72 masters. The top of the list, Gui Wuju, Taoist Xixiashan Genren, and the 3 at the age of 12, he is half a step into the realm of Grand Master. He once killed 6 of the 7 heroes of the Huihe River with 1 sword, and fought with the overseas Grand Master Xiaoao Sanren in 50 moves without defeat. Not only was he proficient in swordsmanship, but he was also superb in Taoism. After 9 months of seclusion, the day he came out was the time when Gui Wuji broke through to become a great master. The second best person on the list, Jinyan, who is traveling in 2 Zen temples in contemporary Buddhism all over the world. At the age of 31, he is half a step into the realm of a great master, and has a golden body in Buddhism. Already accomplished. He once sat cross-legged on the ground and received 16 punches from the demon Wujizi without getting hurt. His defense is ranked first in the earth rankings and cannot be broken except by the mid to late stage great masters. Top 3 in the earth rankings, sword unparalleled, Fixianman is walking in the world today. 36 years old, half a step into the realm of Grand Master. My heart is a sword, and 1 sword can defeat all kinds of magic. I once killed 300 demons of the demon sect at the foot of Mang Mountain. Later, I met the demon sect underworld emperor Qi Hongchen and took 1 of his moves. Escape without dying. Jian Wushuan forged the heart of the sword at the age of 26. After 10 years of raising the sword, he can break through the shackles at any time and become a great master of swordsmanship. 4th on the earth list, Xiao Wuji, Deputy Qinhu of the Imperial Guard of the Zhou dynasty, 19 years old, the pinnacle of the Grand Master. His inheritance is unknown, his skills are unknown, he is proficient in palm skills, sword skills, fingering skills, and light skills. He is suspected of being initiated by a mysterious master to pass on the skills. However, Xiao Wuji was not affected by the side effects of the transfer and successfully integrated all the skills. Turned it into his own use. In Tongzhou and his party, Xiao Wuji escorted Bloody Ginseng to the capital, killing 700 Xiantian and 2 great masters in the building, as well as many masters such as Ghost Killer Shura, Blood Slaughterer, Jinghonk, and so on. According to it is said that the recently fallen Fixian sword sect Mo Yun, the peak master, also died under Xiao Wuji's sword. 5th on the earth ranking, Shui Hong'ai, deputy master of the evil blood sect, 38 years old, the peak master, and has achieved great success in the art of transforming blood. 6th on the local list, Li Chengqian, Prince of Bian, 36 years old, peak master. 7th on the local list, Zhang Luer, Vice President of Jiangnan Confucian Academy, 39 years old. Zhang Luer was a former student at the age of 16. He has not practiced martial arts and studied for 20 years. Suddenly he had an epiphany and achieved supreme magical skills. He broke through the innateness in 1 day and became a master in 3 months. He is 39 years old this year and is already at the peak of the master. But since becoming famous, he has only experienced 3 battles and has no victory, no defeat. Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full level magic system. Author, drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 114. 8th on the Earth ranking, Gun Sect Gongsun Ao, 35 years old, Peak Master. 9th on the Earth ranking, Zhao Wen, 48 years old, Peak Master. 10th on the Earth ranking, Tang San, Elder of Tang Clan in Sichuan, 49 years old, Late Master. There are 72 Grandmasters on the Earth ranking. The top 3 are all half-step Grandmasters, masters who can break through the Grandmaster at any time, and all of them come from famous sects. Xiao Wuji only ranked 4th. Each of these 72 people is over 30 years old, and Xiao Wuji, a 19-year-old young man, is very conspicuous on the list. TNG Pavilion's intelligence capabilities are indeed good, but after all, they are a little bit behind. TNG Pavilion doesn't know much about Xiao Wuji's true strength. They judged that Xiao Wuji's strength was at the peak of a Grandmaster, but that was only because Xiao Wuji only showed strength at the peak of a Grandmaster during the mission of escorting the bloody ginseng. As for the deaths of the 7 evils of Mobei and the Poison King Meng, TNG Pavilion still knows nothing about them. Sir, I really didn't expect that you are actually a master at the pinnacle level of a Grandmaster. Among the 16,000 households in Arbijin Fuzi, you are ranked second only to Mr. Yuan. Shuehua, Song Liman and a group of Jin Yiwei all looked at Xiao Wuji with admiration and awe. He is the pinnacle of the Grandmaster, the ultimate master, only one step away from the great master. Such a master is actually standing in front of them, how can they not shocked? Shuehua and Song Liman were the first to know the secret of Xiao Wuji's terrifying strength, but they didn't know how strong Xiao Wuji was. Now they finally know that Xiao Wuji is a top master at the pinnacle level of a Grandmaster. No wonder he was able to beat Zhang Ying of hundreds of households into blood mist with one palm. Xiao Wuji smiled and did not explain too much. The peak of the Grandmaster is just the strength he has shown so far, and his true strength is still unknown. It is that mysterious the old man in costume. Since Xiao Wuji's debut, he has only missed that one time and allowed the mysterious old man to escape alive. The identity of the old man is still unknown to Xiao Wuji. After returning, Xiao Wuji went to the Jinyiwei archives room to inquire about the people in the world. Expert information. But no one could match the old man's moves. Just when Xiao Wuji was deep in thought, the electronic sound of the system suddenly sounded in his mind. Ding! It is detected that the host is ranked 4th on the TNG Pavilion's ranking list. The name has been spread all over the world. Do you want to receive the reward after completing the task of becoming famous? Receive. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the full level of Giga swordsmanship. The rewards are being distributed and have been completed. A message flooded into Xiao Wuji's mind, and a villain appeared in Xiao Wuji's mind, who was quickly practicing Giga's vertical sword technique. Giga's sword technique, according to the way of heaven and earth, is divided into vertical sword and horizontal sword. Horizontal sword attacks are based on plan. To seek advantage, is to fight. To attack the situation vertically with the sword, to seek the truth, is to close. The master of the sword is the way of heaven and earth. The characteristics of vertical swordsmanship are simplicity and simplicity, killing with one blow. There is no redundancy in swordsmanship. The show-off and modification are only the perfect combination of speed, power, and accuracy. In an instant, Xiao Wuji's understanding of Giga's vertical swordsmanship has reached the full level. A sword intention suddenly appeared out of thin air, as if it was about to break out of the body, but he was instantly suppressed by Xiao Wuji. None of the many Jinyi guards around him noticed Xiao Wuji's change. Just as everyone was talking excitedly, a Jinyiwei general banner came over, clasped his fists and saluted Master Xiao. Yuanqin, who is here please? Nu. Xiao Wuji nodded calmly and went straight to Qinhu Middle Hall. As soon as he walked to the door, Xiao Wuji heard Yuan Xiong's hearty laughter. It was obvious that Yuan Xiong was in a good mood today. Xiao Wuji walked into the lobby and saluted with his hands raised. "My subordinate Xiao Wuji, please see your lord." "Didn't I say that you don't need to salute when you see me in the future?" Yuan Xiong said with a smile while holding a booklet. The booklet was the list of places released by Tianji Pavilion. On the table at Yuan Xiong's hand, there were several other lists. Obviously, Yuan Xiong was interested in the list of places released by Tianji Pavilion. "The list is also very interesting." Xiao Wuji smiled and said, "Sir, you are polite, but my subordinates don't dare to touch my nose or face. It will be bad if I break the rules." "Rule? What are the rules?" "Strength is the rule." Yuan Xiong pretended to be serious and said, "Now that you, Xiao Wuji, are ranked 4th on the Earth ranking, a peerless genius who has broken through the peak of a Grand Master at the age of only 19, your existence is already a rule." Xiao Wuji said modestly, "Sir, you are joking. The list of Tianji Pavilion is not necessarily accurate. How many masters are there in the world? There are many masters and masters from various sects. How can I be ranked 4th? Tianji Pavilion ranked me 4th this time, which will only cause more trouble. Most Jianghu people practice martial arts hard, and they only want 2 words in their lives: fame and fortune. The list of Tianji Pavilion is the authority of fame. 20 years ago, I don't know how many martial arts masters fought with each other to compete for the ranking of Tianji Pavilion. Kill. It will naturally be the same 20 years later. Moreover, it is introduced on the Tianji ranking that Xiao Wuji's skills were obtained through initiation, not by his own practice. This will make many martial arts masters uncomfortable. Those who want to challenge among those ranked on the list, the first target must undoubtedly be Xiao Wuji. I think it won't be long before a master from the world of martial arts comes to challenge him. This time you ranked 4th on the land list, and the face of my Jin Yiwei was also bright. His Majesty was very happy when he learned about it. Originally I wanted to wait for a while before giving this reward to you, but now that you are strong enough, I will give it to you first." "Someone comes." Yuan Xiong gave the order, and a Jin Yiwei general came in from the door, holding a tray in his hand. There were Fiyu uniforms and a token in the tray. Xiao Wuji had seen this posture several times in the past few months. Yuan Xiong took the tray and said loudly, "According to His Majesty's decree, Xiao Wuji, the deputy Qinhu of Jin Yiwei, has great talents and has repeatedly made great achievements. He is now specially named the 13th Taibao of Jin Yiwei." As he said that, Yuan Xiong held up the tray and handed it forward. Xiao Wuji took the tray and said respectfully, "My humble minister Xiao Wuji, thank you for your kindness. Long live my emperor. Get up." Yuan Xiong helped Xiao Wuji up and said with a smile, "There has always been a vacancy in the 13th Taibao, but now that you are here, it is complete. Since you are already a Jin Yiwei, you don't need to call me sir anymore. Just call me third brother." Third brother. The corner of Xiao Wuji's mouth twitched, and he was speechless. He was not used to it. Yuan Xiong is older than his father Xiao Ruohe. If he were a few years older, he could be his grandfather. Call him third brother? Xiao Wuji said that I think so. Yuan Xiong said with a smile, "The 13 Taibao of the great Zhou dynasty are not brothers, but they are better than brothers. If you call me third brother, it is not wronging you." Xiao Wuji had no choice but to call Yuan Xiong third brother. Yuan Xiong responded and laughed, obviously in a good mood. After leaving Qinhu Zhongtang, Xiao Wuji returned to his room and put on the newly given Fiyu suit. The flying fish suit is specially made from tribute cloud smoke fine cotton. Just one piece costs 3,000 taels of silver, which is very expensive. But it also has the advantage of being expensive. It is very comfortable to wear. Please compare the flying fish suit of the 13th Taibao of Flowers. Ordinary thousands of households are 2 levels higher. The people are handsome with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes, and have a distinguished temperament. The clothes are made of brocade and jade, exquisite and beautiful, gorgeous and generous. It is said that people rely on clothes, and Buddha relies on gold. Xiao Wuji put on this wearing a luxurious flying fish suit. His temperament has risen by 2 levels. And the flying fish suit is second, and the most important thing is Xiao Wuji's newly received Jin Yai Wei token. The token is not much different from the previous token, and the position he is still Deputy Kinhu. But on the token, there are 2 more red characters 13. With this token, although Xiao Wuji's position is Deputy Kinhu, his power and status are greater than those of ordinary Kinhu. Be big. With an order, even 1,000 households will bow their heads and obey orders. The first 12 of the 13 Taibao were all promoted to one of the 13 Taibao after they became 1,000 households. Only Xiao Wuji was the one. He was promoted as an exception when he was deputy to Kinhu. However, Xiao Wuji's current strength is enough, and the other Jinyue did not dare to be dissatisfied. Xiao Wuji walked out of the room and walked with majesty. He already had the powerful aura of a superior. There is also the invisible pressure of martial arts masters. When they saw Xiao Wuji, all the guards in uniform lowered their heads and bowed to Xiao Wuji. Sisan Husama. Mr. Kinhu is polite. Xiao Wuji nodded calmly, not getting angry. Just as Xiao Wuji expected, Tianji Pavilion was reborn, and after the spread of the 3 lists of heaven, earth, and people, it immediately caused an uproar in the world. Most of the people on the human list, hidden dragon list, were they are successor disciples of various martial arts sects, or young heroes who have already become famous. Each one of them is a proud son of the emperor. Although some young disciples are privately dissatisfied with their inclusion on the list, it is generally fair. Only the list of the earthly rankings triggered there was a storm. Among the top 3 people on the earth rankings, Goiwuju, Jinyan, and Jian Wushuan, which one is not a martial arts master who has been famous for more than 10 years? They are no longer the younger generation, but figures from the previous generation. These 3 everyone has a very important status in their own sect, and they are deeply respected by many heroes. But who is Xiao Wuji? He is just a 19-year-old boy. How can he be like Goiwuju? Jinyan and Jian Wushuan are compared to each other? 19 years old, many people have just started to debut at this age, they are just young people. Not to mention the group of middle-aged people in their 30s and 40s on the ground list, they are potential among the young prodigies on the dragon list. Everyone is older than Xiao Wuji. There are 100 people on the Qianlong list and 72 on the Earth list. Xiao Wuji is the youngest. Xiao Wuji, the peak master at the age of 19? Are you kidding me? Isn't it written on the place list? His skills were not acquired through self-cultivation, but were given to him by an expert. Damn, this kid is really lucky to encounter such a great thing. Why don't I have such luck? Gan. Initiation from an expert is equivalent to cheating. Although countless warriors in the world say they are dissatisfied with Xiao Wuji, envy and jealousy arise spontaneously in their hearts. To be honest, who doesn't want such a good thing? The pinnacle of masters. 99% a martial artist who studies hard all his life may not be able to reach that state, but now Xiao Wuji has achieved it through initiation alone. How can it not make people jealous? So a group of people appeared in the world, and they shouted that Xiao Wuji was not worthy of being on the Earth ranking list. Xiao Wuji should be removed from Tianji Pavilion. On the other hand, he was so jealous that he gritted his teeth and secretly cursed every day why such a good thing could not happen to them. Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full-level magic system. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 115. I don't accept it. How can he, a 19-year-old boy, defecate and urinate on top of me? When I was roaming the world, he was still drinking milk from his mother's arms. In a manner, a middle-aged man 8 feet tall roared like thunder. Xiaowuji, he is the first person I want to challenge. Challenge Xiaowuji. I advise you to calm down and not be so impulsive. Beside the big man, a man in a green shirt spoke to console him. Didn't you see what's written on the record? Xiaowuji has killed more than 1 or 2 grandmasters. Ghost Shura, Blood Slaughterer, Jinghongke, which one is not a master? Even Fixian sword sect Mo Yun died under his sword. Mo Yun is a master at the pinnacle of the Grand Master. He also practices the Fixian sect's unique skill Fixian sword technique. His strength can at least rank among the top 10 on the Earth ranking, and it is possible for him to rank among the 5th. Even he was beheaded by Xiaowuji. Aren't you looking for death by going? Nonsense, didn't the place list say it was suspicious? Who knows if Mo Yun was killed by him? The middle-aged man's anger did not diminish at all, and he shouted, Ghost Shura, Blood Slayer, Jinghongke, I am not afraid of any of these people. Xiaowuji can kill them, but he may not be able to kill me. The man in green shirt shook his head helplessly. Can what Tianji Bang said be wrong? No matter what, I just can't bear this tone. The middle-aged man 980 was indignant. Besides, even if Mo Yun was killed by him, I won't be afraid. He can break Mo Yun's sword, but he may not be able to break my gun. In a word, Xiaowuji is dead. Even gods can't save him. I said so. Hey, don't be so grumpy. Xiaowuji didn't recruit you or provoke you. Why are you killing people? The man in green shirt advised. It's enough to discuss and learn from each other. There is no need to distinguish between life and death. Humph, regardless of life or death, how to decide who is better? Since it is a martial arts competition, it is natural to distinguish between superior and inferior, and also to decide life and death. The middle-aged man roared angrily, picked up the red blood spear next to him, walked out of the door, and headed straight for Jinling City. The man in green shirt sitting on the stone chair shook his head helplessly and sighed. After drinking the wine in the glass, he also stood up. After leaving the door, he closely followed the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man had a name, Gongsun Ao. He was ranked 8th on the Earth ranking and was also a peak grandmaster. Moreover, he was the only one in the top 10 of the Earth ranking. A master with a spear. On the top of a mountain as tall as the clouds, there are rolling pavilions and pavilions. This is the mountain gate of Fixianmen, the strongest swordsmanship sect in the Zhou dynasty. In front of the main hall of Fixianmen in the square, there are thousands of disciples practicing swordsmanship. The sounds of shouts and low roars are constantly heard. The sword light flashes mistily and is full of power. In the main hall of Fixianmen, there is an old man with a childish face and white beard and hair sitting cross-legged on his knees. There was a sword lying flat. Although the sword was not unsheathed, the sword intent permeated the entire hall. The invisible sword intent passed through the void, causing ripples. Under the control of the old man, these sword intents are like small fishes, swimming happily. But as long as the old man shows a little bit of killing intent, the small sword intent fishes will instantly turn into the most powerful killing move in the world, taking the enemy's head. Only in a blink of an eye. This old man is the current head of the Fixian sect, Bailey Transcendence. Senior brother head, your swordsmanship is getting more and more sophisticated. Junior brother, I'm afraid I won't be able to catch up with you in this life. At this moment, an old man who was half drunk and half awake came in with a wine gourd. His beard and hair were mostly white, and he was only 7 or 8 years younger than Bailey Kaoran. This man's name has long been unknown. Speaking of which, people in the world call him the Taoist master of wine, and his cultivation level is only slightly inferior to Bailey Kaoran. Bailey Kaoran opened his eyes, and the invisible sword intent that filled the surroundings was immediately withdrawn from his body. Junior brother, why do you have time to come to my place today? Bailey. Kaoran smiled slightly at the wine connoisseur and asked. The wine connoisseur raised his head and took a sip of wine and sighed. Isn't it because of Mo Yun's incident? When his cultivation was stagnant, junior brother Kong Ming asked him to go down the mountain to find a way forward, but he didn't want to never come back again. Junior brother Kong Ming became immortal 3 years ago, and even before his death, he did not see his apprentice Mo Yun for the last time. Bailey sighed detachedly and said, yes, this is also junior brother Kong Ming's last regret. Who would have thought that Mo Yun would take refuge with the powerful and ruin his future? It's a pity that he is a good young man who practices swordsmanship. Bailey Kaoran shook his head helplessly, and his words were full of sighs. The wine Taoist said this time Tianji Pavilion has re-entered the world, the 3 rankings of heaven, earth, and people have been spread throughout the world. Mo Yun's death has been concluded. It is suspected that the 4th place on the earth rankings, the deputy Qian of Jin Yi Wei killed by Hu Xiaoji. Although Mo Yun took the wrong path, after all, he is a disciple of my Fuxian sect and cannot die in an unknown way. Several elders in the sect clamored to go down the mountain for revenge. But they didn't dare to come and tell the head brother openly, so they asked me, the junior brother, to find out what the senior brother said. I don't know about this, senior brother, what do you think? Bailey. Kaoran's expression remained unchanged, and he asked without answering, I wonder what junior brother has in mind. The wine Taoist took another sip of wine, burped and said the weak will prey on the strong, and those who kill will always be killed. Mo Yun acted as a pawn of the powerful to kill Xiaoji. He won because he was strong and should win. Now that he is defeated, he is seeking his own death. He deserves to die, just like everyone else. According to my wishes, junior brother, we don't need to worry about this matter. As a disciple of the Fuxian sect, I rely on a sword in my hand to survive in the world. Once the sword is fired, I will have no regrets in life or death. If Mo Yun dies at the hands of an older generation of experts, then our Fuxian sect will naturally avenge him. But Xiaoji is only a 19-year-old boy. If our Fuxian sect goes out to take revenge in such an arrogant way, wouldn't it make the world laugh at our Fuxian sect for bullying others with power and being narrow-minded? I'm afraid that if we don't get revenge, our Fuxian sect will become the laughing stock of the world. To be honest, junior brother, I don't have the face to take revenge. The wine Taoist shook his head, as if he was a little drunk. Bailey Kaoran said calmly, junior brother means what senior brother means. I would like to trouble my junior brother to go talk to the elders and say that our Fuxian sect has never done anything to bully the small with the big or use the power to bully others. The older generation is not allowed to go down the mountain. If the younger generation is confident that they can defeat Xiaoji, they can go down the mountain to find Xiaoji. The wine Taoist took a sip of wine and said with a smile, senior brother, your realm is really several mountains higher than that of junior brother, and I really admire you. Bailey stroked his beard and smiled aloofly, junior brother, your level is not low. If you drink less wine and practice more swordsmanship, I'm afraid I won't be able to match you. The wine master turned around and strode away. Only a burst of hearty and unrestrained laughter came. Sword training is too troublesome, how can you drink freely and unrestrainedly? If you are proud of life, you must enjoy it to the fullest. Don't let the golden cup stand empty against the moon. Senior brother, junior brother is going. The voice gradually faded away, and the wine Taoist turned into a sword light and left, disappearing in an instant. Bailey shook his head aloofly and laughed. There was nothing he could do about this junior brother's temperament. In terms of talent, the wine Taoist is actually no weaker than Bailey Kaoran, and is even better. It's a pity that between drinking and practicing swordsmanship, the wine Taoist prefers drinking, so that his realm is now weaker than Bailey Transcendence. But even so, the wine Taoist is only slightly weaker than Bailey Kaoran. I don't know how much higher than the other elders of Fuxianmen. In Hanzhou, in a barren mountain, there is a sect standing here. This sect is one of the major evil sects, the Evil Blood sect. In the world of martial arts, the Evil Blood sect is known for killing people like crazy, and all the disciples in the sect are ruthless people who kill without blinking an eye. There is a huge blood pool in the sect's main hall. The blood pool was rolling and boiling. There was not only blood in the pool, but also many human skeletons, as well as spiders, centipedes, poisonous snakes, scorpions, toads, and other highly poisonous things. The strong smell of blood and fishy stench emanated from the blood pool and filled the hall. If ordinary people smelled this smell, they would probably spit it out immediately. The smell is not only bad, but also highly toxic. Below the innate level, one breath will kill you in less than 10 breaths. But for the few people sitting in the hall, it is the best smell in the world. Guiwuji, Jinyan, Jianwushuan, Xiaowuji. I thought I was already the strongest among the masters, but I didn't expect that there were 4 people above me. The world is so vast and the rivers and lakes are so far away. Sure enough, crouching tiger, hidden dragon. I used to underestimate the world. At the head of the hall, a middle-aged man looked at the land list in his hand and said lightly. The middle-aged man was wearing red clothes, as scarlet as blood, as if dyed red by blood. Not only the clothes were red, but his hair was also red. It is also red, like blood. He is the deputy sect leader of the Evil Blood sect, Shui Hong'ai, and the son of the contemporary leader of the Evil Blood sect, Shui Wuxian, ranking 5th on the Earth rankings. Shui Hong'ai's tone is not angry, but contains a strong fighting spirit. No one will admit that he is weaker than others. Since the Tianji ranking has determined that he is ranked 5th, Shui Hong'ai wants to defeat the 4 people in front of him and prove to the world that he is the strongest in the master realm. Now Shui Wuxian has been practicing in seclusion for 3 years. During these 3 years, Shui Hong'ai has been in charge of the Evil Blood sect 5.8. For Shui Hong'ai, the deputy sect leader, the future sect master, the elders of the Evil Blood sect and many disciples, they are all very satisfied. Shui Hong'ai is only 38 years old this year, but he is already a master at the pinnacle level of a grandmaster. He will definitely be able to break through the grandmaster level in the future and continue the glory of the Evil Blood sect. Reporting to the deputy sect master, Guiwuji, Jinyan, and Jianwushuan came from the Taoist sect, the Buddhist sect, and the Fuxian sect respectively. In terms of cultivation resources and masters, they are still above the deputy sect master, and their current cultivation level is 1 step ahead of the deputy sect master. It is also natural, deputy sect leader does not need to belittle oneself. They are only temporarily 1 step ahead. What is needed to break through the Grand Master is opportunity. The deputy sect leader may not be slower than the 3 of them. On the left-hand side of Shui Hong'ai, an elder of the Evil Blood sect stood up and said, "Elder Zhao is right." Another elder next to him echoed, "If you want to break through the Grand Master, you don't rely on resources, but on opportunities. When the opportunity has not arrived, no matter how many resources you have, it will not help." Throughout the ages, countless masters have been stuck in the last step, unable to break through, and eventually died of old age. Now Guiwuji, Jinyan, and Jianwushuan are all in retreat, but their breakthrough is still far away. The deputy sect master will catch up with them sooner or later. As for Xiaowuji, he is just a stupid boy who got lucky. The deputy sect master does not need to take him to heart. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full level magic system. Author, drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 116. As for Xiaowuji, he is just a bad luck boy, so the deputy sect leader does not need to take him to heart. The 3rd elder spoke with a look of disdain on his face, relying on the skills obtained through the initiation, the peak of Grand Master is already the highest achievement of Xiaowaji's life. If he wants to break through the Grand Master, he is afraid that it will be even harder than reaching the sky. Sooner or later he will be defeated by the deputy sect master. The inability to break through the Great Master is also one of the side effects of initiation. Since ancient times, not 1 out of 1,000 masters who have received initiation may be able to break through the Great Master. This is also one of the reasons why many powerful sects do not use initiation to train younger disciples. Many, when the Great Master of the sect ran out of life, he would rather die with his cultivation than pass on his initiation to future generations. This is because of this side effect. That's not necessarily the case. Suddenly a voice sounded in the hall. Although the voice was dull, it echoed in waves, reverberating in everyone's ears like thunder. Who? The faces of Shui Hong'ai and the 5 elders changed at the same time, and they looked outside the hall with fierce eyes. They saw a black shadow teleporting towards them outside the hall. When they first appeared, the black shadow was still very far away. To the naked eye, it was just a small black dot. But as soon as the black shadow flashed, the man appeared in the hall. It was a man wearing a ghost face mask and black robes. A terrifying aura and pressure burst out from the man. There seemed to be endless ghosts roaring from all directions, instantly dispelling the bloody aura in the hall and suppressing the blood-red clothes and the 5 elders. You, who are you? So strong, this person is so strong. Just releasing the momentum and pressure actually made the old man unable to move. 15. This person is definitely a great master, and a stronger existence than the sect leader. The 5 elders swallowed wildly, with horrified expressions on their faces. They all looked at the man with vigilant eyes. Their hearts were filled with ups and downs, and they could not calm down for a long time. Strong. Too strong. Apart from powerful, they could not find any other adjective to describe what was in front of them. This man just released the aura and pressure on him, and he had already suppressed them so much that they could not move. If he wanted to take their lives, I am afraid it would only be in an instant. The Ghost Emperor is coming, and the blood-red clothes are far away to welcome him, but I hope you will forgive me. At this moment, Shui Hong'ai spoke. He was the only one among the 6 who could barely resist the pressure of the momentum. Shui Hong'ai took a step forward, bent down, and clasped his fists in salute, with a very respectful attitude. Ghost Emperor. This person is actually the Ghost Emperor of the demon sect. When the 5 elders heard this name, they were even more horrified. They never expected that the person who broke into the hall today was actually the notorious Ghost Emperor of the demon sect. The demon sect was the first sect in the Zhou dynasty. There are many masters, many times stronger than their evil blood section. The Ghost Emperor in front of him can easily kill the entire evil blood section. It's just that the 5 elders don't understand why the Devil's Ghost Emperor came to the evil blood sect for no reason. Zone. And how did Shui Hong'ai know the Ghost Emperor? Judging from Shui Hong'ai's attitude, it was obviously not the first time he met the Ghost Emperor. They had been in contact with each other for a long time. Get up. The Ghost Emperor looked at the blood-red clothes in front of him, and the aura and pressure on his body dissipated. The pressure disappeared, and the 5 elders breathed a sigh of relief. Unconsciously, their foreheads were covered with sweat beads, and their underwear was also wet. Soaked in cold sweat. Ghost Emperor, please take your seat. If you are ordered, I, the evil blood sect, will go through fire and water without hesitation. Shui Hong'ai raised his hand to indicate. No. The Ghost Emperor put his hands behind his back, held his head high, and said coldly, I came to the evil blood sect this time because there is something I want the evil blood sect to do. As long as it is done, the benefits will be indispensable to you. Shui Hong'ai was not fooled by the pie painted by the Ghost Emperor, but asked cautiously, "May I ask if the Ghost Emperor has anything important that the evil blood sect can do for you?" The Ghost Emperor said, "Help me kill someone." Shui Hong'ai asked, "Who is this person?" The Ghost Emperor said, "Fourth on the earth ranking, Jinyai Wei Deputy Kinhu, Xiaowuji. It's him." Shui Hong'ai and the 5 elders were shocked at the same time. They were still discussing this person just now, thinking that he was a piece of shit who had lost his luck. But they didn't expect that the demon sex Ghost Emperor came to the door in person, with the purpose of killing this person. Dare I ask why the Ghost Emperor wanted to kill this person? Shui Hong'ai couldn't help but ask one more question. There are many masters in the demon sect, and the Ghost Emperor's strength is unfathomable, stronger than his father. To kill Xiaowuji, why does the evil blood sect need to take action? The Ghost Emperor is one, a slap can kill him. A mere Xiaowuji, although he is on the earth ranking, is just a grandmaster. He is like an ant in front of the Ghost Emperor. As we all know, anyone involved with the demon sect is definitely not simple. Shui Hong'ai had to be cautious. The Ghost Emperor glanced at Shui Hong'ai indifferently, revealing a murderous aura that immediately swept through the entire hall, forcing Shui Hong'ai and the 5 elders to bend down. "You don't need to know the reason, just do it. 10 days, I only give you 10 days. Within 10 days, I will see Xiaowuji's head. Otherwise, you know the consequences." The sound faded away and then disappeared completely. When Shui Hong'ai and the 5 elders looked up, the Ghost Emperor had disappeared into the hall. Among the 6 people in the main hall, no one discovered when the Ghost Emperor left. "Deputy sect leader, how should we respond next?" An elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, looked at Shui Hong'ai and asked. "The demon sect's Ghost Emperor came in person. This matter is definitely not as simple as it seems on the surface. It may involve the game between the demon sect and the Great Zhou dynasty." Another elder said in a solemn tone, "The demon sect and the Great Zhou dynasty are 2 behemoths. If our evil blood sect rashly gets involved, I'm afraid it will be a disaster. Yes, the Zhou court is not easy to mess with." The other elders also nodded in agreement. That Xiaowuji is now on the earth ranking, and he must be someone that Jinyai Wei values extremely. If we kill him, we will definitely suffer extreme revenge from Jinyai Wei, and the consequences are unpredictable. Damn it, why did the Devil's Ghost Emperor choose our evil blood sect? An elder was so angry that he couldn't help but cursed. "Otherwise, we won't do it," a red-faced elder suggested. "Don't do it." The other 4 elders were suddenly shocked. "It is impossible not to do it." Shui Hong'ai sat in the main seat, covering his forehead and said, "We can't afford to offend the Zhou court, and I can't afford to offend the demon sect and the Ghost Emperor. If the Ghost Emperor knew that we dared to defy him, I'm afraid the evil blood sect would be wiped out." "Deputy sect master, when did you meet the Ghost Emperor?" An elder finally couldn't help it and asked out his doubts. Looking at the conversation between Shui Hong'ai and the Ghost Emperor, it was obvious that this was not the first time the two met, and even the sect leader Shui Wuxian had a close relationship with the Ghost Emperor. Shui Hong'ai he sighed and said helplessly, "That was many years ago. At that time, my father's cultivation was stagnant at half a step and the great master could not break through, so he had inner demons. One time, my father tried to forcefully break through the realm, but he failed in the end. Not only was his power backfired and he was seriously injured, but his inner demons also took the opportunity to break out, which almost caused his father to go crazy and die. At the critical moment, it was the Devil's Ghost Emperor who saved his father's life. Not only did he heal his injuries, but he also helped his father successfully break through to the realm of the Grand Master. Since then, alas." Having said this, Shui Hong'ai shook his head helplessly and sighed. When the 5 elders saw this, they naturally understood what Shui Hong'ai meant. The Ghost Emperor's saving of Shui Wuxian is not free, it requires Shui Wuxian to pay a price. Since then, Although Shui Wuxian was nominally the leader of the evil blood sect, he was actually a subordinate of the Ghost Emperor. The Ghost Emperor has orders, and Shui Wuxian must listen. In a sense, the evil blood sect has unknowingly become a vassal of the demon sect. The master is really, well. An elder hated the fact that iron cannot become steel. He wanted to say something, but in the end it all turned into a helpless sigh. The same was true for the other 4 elders. In fact, if you think about it carefully, Shui Wuxian was desperate at the beginning. If it hadn't been for the Ghost Emperor's intervention, I'm afraid Shui Wu would have turned into a handful of Lois long ago. How could the evil blood sect have the prestige it has today? It's just that the price is too high for them to bear. Shui Hong'ai said these over the years. My father has often felt regretful. He regretted that he should not have accepted the Ghost Emperor's gift, which resulted in him being unable to control himself today. My father often said that if he died that day, it might be a good thing. Although the evil blood sect cannot rise, at least the sect's inheritance will continue and will not become a vassal of the demon sect like it is today. The evil sect's plans are too big. If our evil blood sect gets involved, I'm afraid we will be destroyed at any time. My father has been practicing in seclusion all these years, just to improve his strength and become qualified to talk to the Ghost Emperor. Although it is impossible to completely get rid of the control of the demon cult, at least you have a certain right to choose. The law of the jungle preys on the strong, and only those with strength have the right to speak. The evil blood sect is too weak, so they have to do whatever the Ghost Emperor says, and they don't even have the right to refuse. Should I report today's matter to the sect master and let him make the decision? The red-faced elder asked. No, Shui. Hong'ai waved his hand and said, my father is in retreat at a critical moment. You must not disturb him at this time. Since the Ghost Emperor wants to kill Xiao Wuji, we can just go and kill him, but not in the name of the evil blood section. What does Deputy Sect Master mean? The 5 elders seemed to understand something. Shui Hong'ai said, Xiao Wuji is ranked 4th on the Earth ranking, and I am ranked 5th on the Earth ranking. It is normal for me to challenge him. When competing for ranking in the land rankings, it is reasonable to have casualties. As long as this matter is made into a battle of spirits over the ranking of the Earth ranking, even if Xiao Wuji dies in battle, Jin Wei will have no shame in holding us accountable. It just so happens that I also want to try Xiao Wuji's strength and see how much this 19-year-old Grandmaster weighs at his peak. The eyes of the 5 elders lit up. The Deputy Sect Master has a good plan. In this way, we can protect our evil blood section. No matter what subsequent plans the demon sect has, they will not involve our evil blood sect. The red-faced elder frowned slightly and said, the key to this trip is whether the Deputy Sect Master can defeat and kill Xiao Wuji. Of course. As soon as the red-faced elder finished speaking, another elder spoke up, then Xiao Wuji's cultivation is only obtained through initiation, how can he be compared with the Deputy Sect Master? Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full-level magic system. Author, Drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 117. Even if he can master all the skills and use them for his own use, his combat experience is far different from that of the Deputy Sect Master. The Deputy Sect Master killed people at the age of 9. Not only is his skill profound and concise, but his combat consciousness and experience are also honed from countless killings. Xiao Wuji is a young boy who is still young. How can he be the opponent of the Deputy Sect Master? After hearing this, all the elders nodded. They all have absolute confidence in Sui Hong'ai. Okay, that's it for now. Shui Hong'ai raised his hand to interrupt the conversation of the 5 elders, and said in a deep voice, the Ghost Emperor only gave us 10 days, we must seize the time. I will leave immediately and rush to Jinling. 5 elders will jointly make decisions on internal affairs of the section. Deputy Sect Master, I will go with you. An elder said, I will go with you so that you can take care of me. Need not. Shui Hong'ai shook his head. I'm going on this trip to challenge Xiao Wuji and compete for the ranking in the land rankings. Naturally, I have to be fair and above board. If you take someone with you, you will be suspected of bullying the young master. Moreover, if there is a conflict with Jin Yiwei, my goal will be smaller and it will be easier to escape. The 5 elders nodded when they heard the words. Seeing that Shui Hong'ai had made up his mind, they stopped trying to persuade him. On the same day, Shui Hong'ai left the evil blood sect and hurried to Jinling City. Everything was just as Xiao Wuji expected. As soon as the ranking on the Earth ranking came out, he became a thorn in the side. I don't know how many masters wanted to challenge him, but they always felt that he was a soft persimmon that could be pinched. Just as the masters rushed to Jinling City one by one, little did they know that Xiao Wuji had not taken them seriously from the beginning. Those who could be on the heavenly ranking were all peerless masters, and each of them was a big shot who had shocked the martial arts world and had been famous for decades. Some Xiao Wuji were like thunder. His name suddenly appeared on the list of heavenly rankings. Number 1 on the heavenly ranking, Shangguan Wuidao, 42 years old. It is rumored that Shangguan Wuidao is 45 years old, but according to Tianji Pavilion investigation, Shangguan Wuidao is only 40 years old. 2 years old. Shangguan Wuidao achieved his innate breakthrough at the age of 17, his master breakthrough at the age of 20, his peak as a master at the age of 25, and his half-step grandmaster at the age of 26. After a year of seclusion, he broke through the bottleneck at the age of 27. Entering the realm of a great master is indeed a peerless genius that is rare to encounter in 200 years. After that, Shangguan Wuidao became more and more advanced in cultivation. At the age of 33, he killed the first Xianku master in the 2 Zen temples of Buddhism, thus inheriting the previous demon section. The leader of the cult, Shangguan Ayao, became the new leader of the demon sect. Number 2 on the heavenly ranking, Bailey Kaoran, 73 years old. Identity, headmaster of the Fuxian sect, leader of the sword sect, and a powerful master at the pinnacle of the Grand Master. There is doubt about his true cultivation level, suspected to be a half-step celestial being. The Bailey transcendent flying immortal swordsmanship has been perfected, and the heart of the sword is clear and flawless. With just one sword, it can break all the laws in the world. The top 3 in the heaven list, Daoxuan, 86 years old. Identity, the leader of Wuxia Mountain of the Taoist sect, the leader of the Taoist sect, the most powerful master of the Grand Master. There is doubt, his true cultivation level is suspected to be half a step of heaven. Number 4 on the heavenly ranking, Qin Gran, 79 years old. Identity, 2 Zen temples of Buddhism abbot, the leader of the Buddhist sect, the most powerful Grand Master. Doubtful, his true cultivation level is suspected to be half a step into heaven. 5th on the heavenly list, Sword Slave, age unknown. Identity, guardian of the sword pavilion of the Great Zhou dynasty, the most powerful Grand Master. Doubtful, his true cultivation level is suspected to be half a step up to a heavenly being. 6th on the heavenly list, Li Suanba. Number 7 on the heavenly list, Laughing at Hong Chen. 8th on the list, Len Yuehua. 9th on the list, Qin Pia Miao. 10th on the top list, Xia Yongxuan. Identity, commander of the Imperial Guards of the Great Zhou dynasty, peak cultivation level of Grand Master. Number 11 on the top list, Blood Demon Yuquan, whose real name is unknown and his age is unknown. Identity, the leader of the 3 demons of the demon cult. 12 on the list, Wine Taoist, real name Tuguivo, 69 years old. Identity, the sword-wielding elder of the Fuxian sect and the junior brother of Bailey Chaoruan. After Xiao Wuji saw the 36 people on the heavenly list, he secretly felt that there were many strong people in the world. Tianji Pavilion reappeared and exposed all the old guys in the holy land of martial arts. The people on the list today are older and stronger than the last. The true cultivation levels of the top 5 on the heavenly ranking are unknown. Tianji Pavilion judges that their strength is no longer at the peak of Grand Masters, but has reached half step into heavenly beings. Only the last step is needed to reach the realm of oneness between man and woman. This cannot be said that Tianji Pavilion is not well informed, it can only be said that it is normal. After all, Tianji Pavilion has not been born for 20 years, and most of the people in the top 5 of the Tianji ranking have not made a move for more than 10 or 20 years. Who knows how strong their true cultivation is now? The only one with the record of taking action is Shangguan Wudiao, the leader of the demon cult, who is ranked number 1. 9 years ago, he killed Master Xianku, the first preacher of the 2 Buddhist temples, and thus succeeded to the throne of the leader of the demon sect. I have to say that Tianji Pavilion's evaluation of Shangguan Wudiao is very pertinent. This guy is really a peerless genius that is rare to see in 200 years. Practicing martial arts to achieve a breakthrough is as simple as eating and drinking. Innate at the age of 17, a grandmaster at the age of 20, the peak of the grandmaster at the age of 26, the half-step grandmaster at the age of 26, the grandmaster at the age of 27, and at the age of only 42, he is already at the peak of the grandmaster or even half-step to heaven. People directly reach the top of the heavenly ranking. Among the leaders of the Taoist sect, the Buddhist sect, and the sword sect who are juxtaposed with him, which one is not an old man in his 70s or 80s? Only Shangguan Wudiao is still at the peak of his prime and can continue to progress bravely. If nothing unexpected happens, he will definitely be able to break through the bottleneck in the future and become a powerful man who combines nature and man. This is simply the growth path of a destined child. When he saw Shangguan Wudiao's life, Xiao Wuji thought he was seeing another time traveler protagonist. The country was destroyed, and a genius traveled through time and became a descendant of the subjugated royal family. He has extraordinary talent. He practiced martial arts hard since he was a child, and led the country's remnant party to develop steadily, encroaching on the enemy country step by step, and finally wiped out the enemy country. He restored the country and ascended the throne. Then he worked hard to govern, and finally became a wise king, whose name will be passed down through the ages. Take a look. If this is not the protagonist, who else is the protagonist? This Shangguan Wudiao is the template for the protagonist. Damn it, could this unfortunate thing also be a time traveler? Xiao Wuji looked at the Tianbang roster in his hand and felt a little pain in his head. 7 days passed by, and it was calm for 7 consecutive days. Xiao Wuji did not receive a mission, and he was not eating melon seeds or rolling dice in Bijin Fuzi every day. Playing with money means going home and flirting with Suwaner. They are very affectionate and live a very leisurely life. On this day, he was in the Fuzikinhu office in Bijin. Xiao Wuji was lying on a bench, basking in the sun leisurely, with his hands in his hands. While eating melon seeds, there were melon seed peels all over the floor. 2 of his close men, Shuehua and Song Liman, stood aside to wait on him. One brought tea and poured water, and the other saw that Xiao Wuji had finished eating the melon seeds in his hand, so he quickly grabbed a handful and brought them to him. Such leisurely days are rare, and Xiao Wuji feels much more relaxed. However, accidents always come unexpectedly. Report. Report. Something bad is going on. If you want. Suddenly, a uniformed guard general ran in a panic and shouted anxiously, Master Kinhu, something bad has happened. There is someone challenging outside. Challenge? Who are you challenging? Xiao Wuji asked calmly without even opening his eyes. I challenge you, my lord. The commander-in-chief swallowed his saliva and said. He said his name is Matanga, he is ranked 36th on the local list, he wants to challenge the Kinhu adults, life or death, and he is now making noise in front of Fuzi Gate in Bijin. Matanga? 36 on the land list? Xiao Wuji frowned, then opened his eyes and asked, "Is there this person on the list?" Shuehua, who was next to him, thought for a while, nodded and said, "It seems that there is such a person." "Sir, haven't you seen the list of places, haven't you seen this person's name?" Xiao Wuji rolled his eyes in his heart. "The list of places, why am I looking at that thing?" When he got the list of places, Xiao Wuji just glanced at it hastily and remembered his own name and the names of the top 5 people. Then the list of places, the roster, was thrown into the corner by Xiao Wuji. Xiao Wuji was not interested at all in a group of grandmasters. He was focused on the heavenly list. "Sir, someone challenges me, what should we do next?" Song Liman asked from the side. "What to do? What else can be done?" Of course he was crippled. Xiao Wuji stood up from the chair, relaxed his muscles and said, "Others are knocking on the door. If I stay behind closed doors, wouldn't I be a coward? How can you still hang out in the world from now on?" "Your Excellency is right." Shuehua complimented from the side. "A mere 36th person dares to challenge you. You really don't take your attention seriously." Song Liman, the other half, also yelled angrily, "You are only ranked 36th, but you dare to challenge the Lord. You are really overestimating your capabilities. He doesn't know who gave him the courage." Speaking of this, Song Liman and Shuehua looked at each other, and both of them saw the gloating in each other's eyes. "How strong is Xiao Wuji, Wei? That Matanga who came to challenge, Qian Zhaozhao, is very. I'm about to suffer a lot." Ding, the host triggers a mission, kill to establish authority. It is detected that the host has been challenged due to the ranking of the local list. Please defeat all the enemies that will invade the host, regardless of life or death, to clear your name. Mission reward, full level Fengshen legs. Another peerless magical skill came, and Xiao Wuji's eyes lit up. These people who came to challenge were all good people, and they came to his door automatically without him having to go out. "Let's go and see that Matanga." As soon as Xiao Wuji raised his hand, Shuehua next to him immediately took the snow-drinking knife and put it in Xiao Wuji's hand. Xiao Wuji hung the long knife on his waist, held the handle of the knife, and walked out of Qinhu House in a majestic manner. Headed to the gate of Fuzi, Bijan. The news that someone came to challenge Xiao Wuji spread throughout Bijan Fuzi in an instant, and countless Jin Wei came out to watch the fun. There were dozens in 100 households, and 7 or 8 in 1,000 households. As for those who didn't come, they were all out on missions and not in the Genfu division. "Mr. Xiao, it's up to you this time. Don't embarrass our Bijan Fuzi. Judging from what you said, Mr. Xiao is ranked 4th on the land list, and Matanga is only ranked 36th. The gap is so big that it is impossible to lose even if you want to. If you dare to come to our Bijan Fuzi to show off your authority, Mr. Xiao, please don't show mercy and beat him directly. Isn't it enough to be merciful when you are crippled? If you ask me to just beat him to death, if he dares to come to Fuzi, our north town, to act wild, why should I keep him alive?" Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full-level magic system. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 118. Beating him to death is too much, and people in the world will say that our Jin Wei is narrow-minded and cruel. If you ask me, I would just beat him to death. Just like Mr. Xiao always did when he captured a prisoner, he destroyed his limbs and pubic area and spared his life. People come all the way to fight, you can't leave your life here, at least let that Matanga save his breath and go home to see his wife one last time. Haha, you are so kind, why didn't I see it before? No, I've always been so kind, okay. Many of the Jin Wei were chattering, and everyone felt that Xiao Wuji would definitely win. Although Xiao Wuji was young, Xiao Wuji had already conquered the Jin Wei in Bijan Fuzi with his strength. Faced with provocations from outsiders, Jin Wei naturally shared the same hatred. Although everyone is watching the fun and laughing, but in fact everyone's eyes are flashing with fierceness. Jinyai Wei is not a group of good-tempered and honest people, they are all thugs who kill without blinking an eye. Although Matanga named him, the person named Xiaowuji said that the challenger was Xiaowuji, but he also unintentionally provoked the majesty of all the Jinyai Wei. In normal times, anyone who dared to challenge the Jinyai Wei would have been suppressed by the Jinyai Wei masters long ago. But this is a martial arts competition, and the ranking on the ground list in the Battle of Spirits, the Jinyai Wei cannot bully the minority, and Xiaowuji can only step in. But establishing prestige is necessary. If we do not take this opportunity to establish prestige, the Jinyai Wei will be underestimated by the warriors in the world. How can we suppress the world in the future? When Xiaowuji led everyone to the Fuzi Gate of Bijin in a mighty manner, the front of Fuzi Gate of Bijin was also very lively and crowded with people. Although most of them were ordinary people in Jinling, there were also martial artists among them. Young master. All the warriors in Jinling city came to watch the excitement, and there were also many martial arts warriors who came from all over the country in advance. The rooftops of the surrounding houses were also full of martial arts warriors. 020 They were all waiting for Xiaowuji to come out and build a bridge with Matanga. The battle between the masters of the earth ranking has not happened for 20 years. Xiaowuji, come out quickly, I, Matanga, want to challenge you. I saw a man holding a mace, 7 feet tall, burly, and bearded, yelling at the Fuzi Gate in Bijin. Although Matanga looked unattractive, he was a master of martial arts. It's true. The crowd watching the heroes just heard Matanga's roar, and they had some idea of his strength in their hearts. He, brother Gongsun, someone has beaten you to it. There was a man in green shirt fanning himself in the crowd, looking at Matanga, smiling and saying to the middle-aged man beside him. The middle-aged man held a red-blooded spear, stood with his arms crossed, and looked at the roaring man with indifferent eyes. A trace of disdain flashed in Matanga's eyes. He was only 36th on the local ranking list, but he didn't take it seriously at all. This person was actually 8th on the local ranking list, Gun Sect Gongsun Ao. Let Matanga try Xiaowuji's strength. If he loses, brother Gongsun, it won't be too late for you to try again. The man in green shirt said with a chuckle. Gongsun Ao had no expression on his face and said nothing. He stared at the gate of Bijin Fuzi and suddenly said, he's here. Before he finished speaking, he saw a large group of Jinyai Wei coming out of the gate. The leader was a man with a jade-like face and extraordinary martial prowess. He had a long knife hanging on his waist, his left hand on the handle of the knife, and his eyes were as cold as a millennium. The ice does not contain the slightest bit of temperature, it is Xiaowuji. Although Xiaowuji's long sword has not been unsheathed, the sword intention is already ready to move, but it is not revealed. In Gongsun Ao's eyes, Xiaowuji himself is like the sharpest sword. What a Xiaowuji! The moment Gongsun Ao saw Xiaowuji, his eyes ignited with raging fire, and the fighting spirit erupted in his heart. No need to take action, just one look, Gongsun Ao knew that Xiaowuji was not weak and was a good opponent. Except Gongsun Ao, besides Ao, there is another person secretly. The moment he saw Xiaowuji, his fighting spirit increased sharply. He was Shuihong Ai. Is this Xiaowuji? It really lives up to its reputation. Shuihong Ai secretly clenched his fists, and a grin appeared on the corner of his mouth. It was not hatred and anger, but excitement and excitement. Shuihong Ai felt that the blood in his body was boiling, and he longed to fight Xiaowuji. For a moment, Shuihong Ai felt Hong Yi actually forgot the real purpose of his trip and just wanted to have a painful battle with Xiaowuji to see who was better. Are you Xiaowuji? Finally dared to come out. Matanga swung his mace and stabbed his feet, making a big hole in the bluestone ground. My name is Matanga, I have fought invincible opponents all over Kangzhou. This time I have traveled thousands of miles to come to Jinling City just to compete with you. Xiaoqian, who is ranked 4th on the land list, so he won't be afraid to fight, right? Matanga smiled playfully, and his voice spread in all directions under the infusion of true energy. As soon as these words came out, if Xiao Wuji dared to say no, he would never be able to hold his head up again in this life, and his face would be lost to his grandma's house. Xiao Wuji looked at the burly man in front of him expressionlessly, and said with a sarcastic smile, Matanga, your father really gave you a good name. Riding horses, commanding the three armies, an unparalleled hero. It's a pity that this name doesn't really match you. Let me tell you, how about changing your name to Matangshu? Xiao Wuji, what do you mean? It doesn't mean anything, I'm just complimenting you. Fart, don't you think I can't hear you scolding me? Matanga couldn't understand the meaning of Xiao Wuji's words, but he could hear that every word of Xiao Wuji was full of ridicule. This proved that Xiao Wuji was scolding him, but he just didn't understand any of Xiao Wuji's words. They were scolding him. This couldn't help but make him angry. The corners of the Jinyi guards behind Xiao Wuji all twitched, as if they were suppressing laughter. Several people finally couldn't help it and burst out laughing. They didn't understand what Xiao Wuji said either. What does it mean? But I don't know I just find it a bit funny. When Xiao Wuji heard the name Matanga and saw Matanga looking like this, he almost burst into laughter. I have to say that Matanga's father is indeed a talent, and he can actually come up with such a high-end and classy, BFBD, name. When Matanga saw a group of imperial guards laughing at him, his anger surged up and he felt that his chest was about to explode. He pointed at Xiao Wuji with a mace and roared, "Stop talking nonsense, Xiao Wuji, just say something painful to me. After all, do you dare to fight?" "Fight, of course we must fight." Xiao Wuji took a step forward, walked to Matanga and said, "Since you have traveled thousands of miles to seek death, of course I will grant it to you. I have always been generous and kind-hearted, eager for justice and justice. I will not reject anyone who comes to you for your stupid behavior of seeking death." "What a arrogant boy, wait until I blow your head off, will you still dare to be so arrogant?" Matanga roared, and the real energy in his body suddenly boiled and exploded. The huge mace struck Xiao Wuji head on, like a meteor falling from the top of Mount Tai. A terrifying aura erupted, sweeping in all directions, knocking back the onlookers. Only a few people could remain unmoved under the impact of this true energy, without changing their expressions. Even though he has a small skill, he still dares to do the same thing. Xiao Wuji looked at the mace with cold eyes, neither dodging nor retreating but advancing. In a flash of lightning, Xiao Wuji had already arrived in front of the mace. He raised his hand and pointed it at the sharp barbs. The mace was slapped hard. This is not the best move to break this move. In other words, this kind of frontal attack with palm against the stick is the stupidest way to meet the enemy. Normally, Xiao Wuji would never use this kind of move. What a stupid move. He will use the full-level lightning god walk to dodge the frontal blow, and then teleport to Matanga at lightning speed and slap him to death with one palm. Or he will draw his sword and use the 6 Aehan techniques, with just one knife, can chop Matanga and his men into pieces with a stick. But today is to kill people and establish prestige, this is the first battle. Xiao Wuji is going to use the simplest, crudest, and stupidest methods. The move defeated Matanga, proving that Xiao Wuji can crush the masters on the ground rankings even with stupid moves. Such a deterrent is enough. Roar. The roar of the dragon resounded through the sky and went straight into the sky. The crowd of onlookers only saw one. The golden dragon appeared from Xiao Wuji's palm and hit the mace chopped off by Matanga. This move was clearly the 18 dragon subduing palms of dragon fighting in the wild. Dragon fighting in the wild, its blood was black and yellow. The killing move collided with it. In an instant, Matanga's mace exploded, and his killing move collapsed at the first touch. Impossible. Matanga had a look of horror on his face, and his eyes were full of fear. Before he could pull back, the golden dragon, without resting its strength, had already hit his chest and passed through his chest in an instant. Matanga was stunned. He stepped back more than a dozen steps, each step leaving a footprint several inches deep on the bluestone ground. Finally, Matanga stopped. He looked at Xiao Wuji in front of him with wide eyes, his face flushed as red as blood. His lips twitched as if he wanted to say something, but he couldn't say a word. Then there was a loud bang, and Matanga's body exploded, turning into flesh and blood and flying everywhere. Ranked 36th on the Earth rankings, the Master Matanga guy, die in battle. Hiss. All the heroes onlookers took a breath, looking at Xiao Wuji with eyes full of horror and fear. Many innate masters in the martial arts world had cold hands and feet, feeling chilled physically and mentally, and their bodies were slightly uncontrollable. Trembling. So strong, too strong. They couldn't find any other adjective to describe Xiao Wuji at this moment except strong. Although many people had long expected that Matanga would be defeated, after all, he was only ranked 36th on the ground list, and Xiao Wuji, the gap between Wuji's fourth place was too big. But no one expected that Matanga, who was 36th on the local rankings, couldn't even receive a palm from Xiao Wuji. And it was the stupidest way to fight face to face. You know, Xiao Wuji is the strongest, it's the sword skills. He hasn't drawn the sword yet. He can crush the 36th Earth ranking with just his palm skills, and he obviously doesn't use all his strength. If Xiao Wuji draws the sword and uses all his strength, how strong will it be? From this battle alone, the martial arts heroes already know that Xiao Wuji is not weak. Although I don't know whether he can be ranked 4th on the Earth rankings, he is sure to be ranked in the top 10. Good. Well played. Xiaoqian, who is amazing. Just fight like this. If you dare to come to Bijin Fuzi to block the door and provoke, you deserve to die. The Jin Yi Wei behind him cheered loudly and shouted for Xiao Wuji. Gong Sun Ao in the crowd clenched the red blood spear in his hand, with high fighting spirit. The blood in the blood-red clothes was boiling with excitement, and he couldn't help himself. The martial arts heroes couldn't help but feel towards Xiao Wuji. I felt a sense of awe, and felt that Xiao Wuji was young, but possessed peerless martial arts and was famous all over the world. He was really what people in the world aspired to. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full level magic system. Author, drunk in March at Westlake. Chapter 119. There was only one person who was so angry that he gritted his teeth, his face was twisted, and his eyes looked at Xiao Wuji with murderous intent. He was Li Dingshan, the official minister of the dynasty. Someone challenged Xiao Wuji, and Li Dingshan rushed over to watch the battle immediately. He hid in a private room of a restaurant opposite Fuzi in Bijin. When he saw Xiao Wuji fighting, Li Dingshan wished that Xiao Wuji would be beaten to death by Matang. But things went beyond his expectation. Not only did Xiao Wuji not die, but he slapped Matanga to death with one palm, which greatly increased his reputation. Looking at the glorious Xiao Wuji, Li Dingshan felt as sick as if he had eaten a fly. Trash, they are all a bunch of fucking trash. What kind of top player? What makes Kang Zhou invincible? He couldn't even catch Xiao Wuji's palm. Are all the people in Tianji Pavilion blind? How did this trash get on the list? A guard next to him whispered, "Master, calm down, Xiao Wuji is ranked 4th on the Earth ranking, and Matanga is only 36, so naturally he is not Xiao Wuji's opponent. There will definitely be experts who challenge him in the future. It is impossible for Xiao Wuji to keep winning. He will die sooner or later." Shit. Li Dingshan slapped the guard next to him and flew him away, yelling, "Get out of here, get out of here." The guard covered his cheek and ran away in a fit of piss. He originally wanted to comfort Li Dingshan and let him calm down, but he didn't want to flatter him and slapped the horse's hoof. Doesn't Li Dingshan know these truths? Does he still need a guard to talk too much? Li Dingshan just plain angry. This Matanga is too weak and can't even catch my palm. Is there anyone else who wants to challenge him? In front of the Fuzi gate in Beijing, Xiao Wuji held the knife in his left hand and clasped his right hand behind his back, looking around at the crowd, his voice booming. If there is no one, everyone, please go back to your homes and find your own mother. Everyone is very busy. I come. Before anyone arrived, a red-blooded spear came through the air first. The gunshot sounded like a dragon roaring and a tiger roaring. It carried the powerful true energy and was inserted heavily in front of Xiao Wuji. With a loud bang, the true essence it exploded, cutting a ravine several feet long in the ground. Then a middle-aged man fell from the sky and landed steadily on the spear. Xiao Wuji's expression did not change, and he said calmly, the spear is not bad. The middle-aged man crossed his arms and said proudly, of course it's good. Among the crowd, a man in a green shirt covered his face with his hands. He shook his head helplessly and said, Brother Gongsun, you went out too fast. Xiao Wuji's strength is unknown. If you show up to challenge him now, your chances of winning are slim. Shui Hong'ai on the side retracted his steps. Just a moment ago, Shui Hong'ai also wanted to show up, but unfortunately Gongsun Ao got there first. Even Gongsun Ao is here. Jinling City is really lively today. But it's okay, with Gongsun Ao taking the lead, I can understand Xiao Wuji's strength better. A mere matanga, Shui Hong'ai didn't take it seriously at all. He knew that Xiao Wuji didn't even use 3 of his power to kill Matanga. Now that Gongsun Ao takes action, he must be able to force out Xiao Wuji's approximate strength. When he takes action again, the success rate will be greatly increased. Gongsun Ao, even you are here. Of course Shui Hong'ai was not the only one who recognized Gongsun Ao. Several thousand households behind Xiao Wuji also recognized Gongsun Ao. Gongsun Ao? Is he famous? Xiao Wuji didn't look back. He looked at Gongsun Ao in front of him and asked Qinhu, the Jinyue behind him. Qinhu Hongzhenyi said Gongsun Ao of the gun sect is ranked 8th in the Earth ranking, and he is among the top 10 in the Earth ranking. The only master with a gun. He is arrogant by nature, has a bad temper, and is moody. He often gets into fights with people in the world because of his inappropriate remarks, thus making many enemies. However, he never killed innocent people indiscriminately, and he often wiped out bandits in various places and saved many people. He could barely be regarded as a chivalrous person. Hongzhenyi spoke impartially and introduced the origin of Hongzhenyi to Xiao Wuji. No need, I don't need you to put in a good word for me. Gongsun Ao turned over and landed on the ground, pulled out the red blood spear and said coldly, I kill people based on my personal preference. If I want to kill, I will kill. If I don't want to kill, I won't. As for rescuing people, I have never done that. The reason why I went to kill the bandits was because I needed to kill people to practice shooting. Those bandits were unlucky and happened to bump into me. I'm not a chivalrous person, so when the fight breaks out, Xiao Wuji, you won't be merciful. Gongsun Ao spoke like an old man and was full of arrogance. As expected, he was as arrogant as Hongzhenyi introduced. His eyes were staring at Xiao Wuji, as if they were burning with raging fire, full of fighting spirit. Stop talking nonsense and let's start fighting. Gongsun Aaron was even more anxious with his spear. Before he finished speaking, the red-blooded spear was already stabbing Xiao Wuji. A bit of cold light arrived first, and then the spear came out like a dragon. The sound of dragons roaring and tigers roaring suddenly sounded, and the red-blooded spear pierced Xiao Wuji. The spearhead seemed to turn into a dragon head, tearing towards Xiao Wuji. Welcome. Xiao Wuji laughed, and instead of retreating, he advanced, turning into a bolt of lightning and shooting out towards the red-blooded spearhead. He raised his hand and struck it hard with his palm, and the golden dragon reappeared in the world. It was the 18 dragon subduing palms. The flying dragons were in the sky. The two dragons collided, and the powerful true energy swept out and rushed in all directions. The sound of dragons and tigers roaring tore through the sky, and even shocked the surrounding heroes. The weaker people had already fled far away. Yes, all those who stayed behind were warriors from the martial arts world. The weak ones were directly injured by the true energy, and their 7 orifices were bleeding. The heroes opened their eyes and saw that the red blood spear that was moving forward suddenly stopped. It was like a surging ocean wave. Suddenly paused, the collapsed mountain went back and forth. Roar! The golden dragon roared, and the sharp spear power suddenly collapsed and dissipated. Only hearing a clanging sound, Gongsun Ao retreated continuously, until he retreated 30 steps away. Stop! He held the red blood spear in the ground behind him, and managed to stop himself with the help of the recoil. On the other hand, Xiao Wuji still stood on the same spot, not taking a step back. Although it was just a test move, his strength was superior. See. You are no match for me, Gongsun Ao, retreat. Xiao Wuji shook his head slightly and said calmly. He has shown mercy. Although Gongsun Ao is arrogant and has a hot temper, he is a pretty good person. Xiao Wuji does not want to kill him. Although he, Xiao Wuji, kills people without calculation, he has never killed a good person so far. I said, don't show mercy to me. Gongsun Ao shouted coldly, come again. The dragon-slaying ghost is shocking. Gongsun Ao drew his gun and stood up. A red-blooded spear spun rapidly in his hand, making the tiger angry. With a sweep of the gun, the powerful true energy burst out of the air and turned into a half-moon-shaped gun light. The gun light was as scarlet as blood. Just like his red-blooded spear. Wherever the light of the spear went, countless ghosts howled and roared. The roar seemed to have the power to confuse people. Most of the heroes who heard the sound had splitting headaches, and illusions appeared in front of their eyes, as if they were trapped in netherworld ghost realm. The blue stone floor tiles were overturned layer by layer, and the gun light was extremely fast, heading towards the door facing Xiao Wuji. Alas, why bother? Xiao Wuji sighed and shook his head, facing the killing move without dodging or evading it. He just raised his hand and pushed flat with his palm, blocking and defeating the tsunami-like spear power. He was walking leisurely in the courtyard with a calm and gentle look. Obviously it didn't take much effort, it was as simple as eating and drinking. When the heroes saw this, they all couldn't help but blurt out okay. Being able to break out such a killing move at will, how can Xiao Wuji's strength be bad? Jiang. Right there the moment the gun's power was broken, a spear tip instantly arrived in front of Xiao Wuji's eyes. The sharp spear tip was like a poisonous snake spitting an apricot, and it went straight to Xiao Wuji's throat. It turned out that Gongsun Ao knew that that move could not defeat Xiao Wuji. After the move, there was also a hidden killing move. The stab came so fast that Xiao Wuji didn't have a chance to dodge. Xiao Wuji held the snow-drinking knife in his left hand and did not draw the sword. He just quickly rotated the scabbard and blocked it forward. Just in time to block the piercing tip of the spear. Then his right hand reached out like lightning and grabbed the gun shaft behind the gun head. The full-level Dragon Elephant Prajna Skill 13 Dragon Elephant Divine Power suddenly burst out, and he swung it hard. The tough gun shaft it suddenly bent into a big bow and creaked. Fortunately, Gongsun Ao spent a lot of money to build this red-blooded spear. The materials are rare in the world and it can be regarded as a top-notch magic weapon. Otherwise, it would have been broken by Xiao Wuji. Xiao Wuji caught him holding the gun shaft, he tightened and released the force in his hand, and the bow-shaped gun shaft bounced out. The huge force was transferred along the gun shaft, and penetrated Gongsun Ao's hands, directly attacking the internal organs and the strange muscles and 8 meridians. With a pop, Gongsun Ao's mouth was torn, his mouth and nose were bleeding, and he almost couldn't hold the spear. But for a person who uses a gun, the gun is his life. Even if the person dies, the gun cannot leave his hand. Gongsun Ao holds on tightly. The spear, even if his hands were bloody, he never let go. Xiao Wuji grabbed the barrel of the gun and sent it forward, and the tail of the gun hit Gongsun Ao's chest hard. The blow was not light, there was only a click, and the bones in Gongsun Ao's chest were broken. A mouthful of blood spurted out to the sky. Gongsun Ao flew out and hit him heavily more than 10 feet away. However, even if he was seriously injured, the spear in Gongsun Ao's hand still did not leave his hand. Gongsun Ao was defeated. How could he be defeated so easily? Doesn't Gongsun Ao look very strong? Defeated in just 2 moves. Not very strong? Why don't you go up and try? Let's see how much strength he still has in his severely injured state. Then forget it, I don't want to die yet. It's good to know, but that's Gongsun Ao, ranked 8th on the land list. Do you think his fame is in vain? It was only when he met Xiao Wuji that he lost so quickly. If it had been anyone else, he would have been shot to death long ago. Xiao Wuji's strength is too terrifying. He suppressed Gongsun Ao throughout the fight. You know, Xiao Wuji has not yet drawn his sword. He can crush Gongsun Ao without drawing his sword. It seems that Xiao Wuji is truly worthy of his reputation as the 4th in the world rankings. Yes, after today's battle, who among the heroes in the world would dare to say that Xiao Wuji does not deserve to be ranked 4th on the Earth ranking? The heroes were talking a lot, and when they looked at Xiao Wuji, their eyes were full of fear and awe. You know, Xiao Wuji is a Jin Yiwei, and the Jin Yiwei is specifically against people in the world. In the future, there will be such a big mountain pressing on their heads, and they will not do anything in the future. Dare to act too wantonly. After all, no one wants to be chased by Xiao Wuji one day. Poof! A mouthful of blood spurted out. Gongsun Ao, who was lying on the ground, looked as pale as paper and his breath was disordered. But he still endured the serious injury and stood up. He stood up and pointed a red blood spear at Xiao Wuji. Come on, I'm not dead yet. Martial arts, become invincible starting from the full level magic system. Author, Drunk in March at West Lake. Chapter 120. Come on, I'm not dead yet. Gongsun Ao is indeed Gongsun Ao. He is exactly the same as the rumors in the world, and he will not kill himself if he fights. All the heroes watching know that Gongsun Ao is far from Xiao Wuji's opponent, and Xiao Wuji has already shown mercy. Anyone else would have found a way out at this moment. Leave. Although defeated, he managed to save his life. Only Gongsun Ao refused to give up, as if he was looking for death. Forget it, you are no match for me. Xiao Wuji looked at Gongsun Ao calmly and said calmly, even if you risk your life, you can't beat me. The voice was calm, but it was like thunder, rumbling, showing Xiao Wuji's absolute confidence. Many guards in uniform were so excited that they felt their blood boiling and goosebumps all over their bodies. Many heroes in the world were also infected. They all knew that Xiao Wuji said it's the truth, and that's why people's blood boils. Everyone wants to be like Xiao Wuji, crushing the top players in the rankings, and then saying something shocking and becoming famous all over the world. I don't need you to pity me. Gongsun Ao roared, but he was not angry. Instead, he was laughing up to the sky. He was extremely happy and had a high fighting spirit. Since I have come to challenge you today, I am ready to die in battle. Draw your sword, Xiao Wuji. Today, you and I are both superior and inferior, and it is also a matter of life and death. Defeat the heavens, slay the gods, and slay the startling dragon, 330. Gongsun Aokyang destroyed the true energy in his body, and the majestic energy burst out of his body, sweeping the surrounding area. The red blood spear swept, swirling the bloody wind and clouds. The majestic energy swept across a 9-foot radius, turning into a huge bloody dragon. As Gongsun Ao flew up and stabbed out with a spear, the giant bloody dragon roared and roared towards Xiao Wuji angrily. Why bother? Xiao Wuji's eyebrows moved slightly, but they were still as calm as water, without any disturbance. Gongsun Ao's most powerful killing move was ignored by him. Since you want to see my knife, let you see it. I only use one sword, whether you live or die, it all depends on your ability. Xiao Wuji drew his sword out of its sheath, and with a flash of light, the ground around him for several feet suddenly froze into frost. Endless cold air spread out, making the surrounding heroes tremble. A shocking glance. Chiang. A 20-meter huge sword energy burst out of the air, fell from the sky, and struck hard on the bloody dragon. The sharp sword light suddenly appeared, directly breaking through the dragon's scales, tearing apart the thick true energy, and completely destroying it. Defeated. Gongsun Ao's strongest killing move didn't even last for half a breath before he was defeated by one blow. Boom. The true energy exploded and bluestones flew. A 20-year-long strip was ripped out of the Fuzi Street in Beijing. With a huge knife mark of several meters, the onlookers retreated again and again, with no way to retreat. Everyone looked up and saw a figure flying backwards from the dust in the sky and hitting the ground heavily. The red-blooded spear finally got out of hand. There was a clang of gold and iron after landing. When they saw Gongsun Ao's appearance clearly at this moment, the heroes all took a breath of air. They saw that Gongsun Ao's hands were torn and bloody, and his body was dripping with blood. There was almost no intact skin. Are all densely packed with tiny knife marks. Xiao Wuji obviously only made one stab, but Gongsun Ao seemed to have been cut into pieces by 1,000 cuts. Not only that, although Gongsun Ao's flesh and blood were blurred, there was no blood flowing out of his body. Because all the blood had already been cut. Frozen into blood clots. Xiao Wuji's knife was too cold. Wherever the ice sword energy went, it could freeze everything. Xiao Wuji put the knife back into its sheath, expressionless, looking at Gongsun Ao who was left with his last breath. He shook his head and sighed. A cry. Why bother? It's just a battle of spirits, why do you have to seek death? If Xiao Wuji hadn't gathered some strength at the last moment, Gongsun Ao would have been dead long ago. Ahem, cough, you win, kill me. Gongsun Ao vomited blood and said breathlessly. Facing death, Gongsun Ao didn't have any fear, only calmness. He was in a very calm mood, as if he had gotten what he wanted. It was not in vain to die under the knife of a master like Xiao Wuji. This life. Xiao Wuji rolled his eyes in his heart. He really had nothing to do with this stubborn person. He has lived for so long, and he has never seen such a fool who is seeking death. Don't seek death. Xiao Wuji shook his head and said, although you are a little weak, a little stupid, and have no other abilities except being tough-talking, you can still be considered a good guy. I won't kill you this time. Xiao Wuji is not someone who kills innocent people indiscriminately. Gongsun Ao deserves to be spared and spare his life. You. I don't need you to pity me. Gongsun Ao was so angry at Xiao Wuji's words that he vomited blood. What do you mean, I'm weak? I'm stupid? I don't have any other ability except being tough? Is I that incompetent? Although Xiao Wuji didn't kill him, his words were very important to him. He caused a critical hit of 100 million points and almost sent him away. Gongsun Ao didn't appreciate Xiao Wuji's holding back. After roaring loudly, he raised his palm and slapped his Tianling cap, trying to kill himself. Xiao Wuji's chapter he noticed it for a moment, but he didn't come to rescue him. He had shown mercy. Since Gongsun Ao didn't appreciate it, Xiao Wuji wouldn't force it. He didn't value his own life, so why should Xiao Wuji rush him? Saving people? He is not that mean. Bang! He slapped a heavy palm, but it did not fall on Tianling Gai, because one palm grabbed Gongsun Ao's wrist. Why are you doing this? Brother Gongsun. A man in green shirt appeared beside Gongsun Ao at some unknown time. It was he who saved Gongsun Ao in time. When traveling around the world, victory or defeat is a common occurrence for military strategists. If you lose today, why don't you just go back and practice martial arts hard and win back tomorrow? What is the difference between a person who seeks death and life as soon as he is defeated and a resentful woman who was abandoned? Hearing this, the surrounding heroes also nodded secretly in their hearts. The man in green shirt was right. Who among those who have traveled around the world has not been defeated by others? No one is born invincible. When everyone is weak, it is everyone will fail. It is not shameful to be defeated. Just go back and practice martial arts hard and win back one day. This is called knowing your shame and then being brave. If you commit suicide as soon as you lose a battle, then everyone in the world will have died long ago. Gongsun Ao, the man in green shirt, persuaded him and took back the true energy in his hand. The man in green shirt looked back at Xiao Wuji, raised his hands in salute, and said warmly, "Thank you so much for Xiaoqianhu's mercy today. I will repay this kindness in the future." Xiao Wuji said expressionlessly, "I don't show mercy to everyone, and today is a rare occasion. If he dares to come next time, I won't hold back." "I understand, but I still want to thank Xiaoqianhu. The man in green shirt is polite, humble, and gentle. He doesn't look like a martial artist at all, but more like a scholar. I don't know how his gentle temperament got together with the hot-tempered Gongsun Ao. Is this the so-called lack of complementarity?" Gongsun Ao was lifted up by the man in green shirt, and he could barely stand by leaning on the ground with a red blood spear. He looked at Xiao Wuji and said, "I owe you a life. If you want it, you can come to me at any time, and I will definitely pay you back." After saying that, Gongsun Ao left here with the support of the man in green shirt. All the heroes were in an uproar and talked about it. Defeated, Gongsun Ao also lost, defeated to the point of having nothing to say. How much strength do you think Xiao Wuji used to defeat Gongsun Ao? No matter what, it must be 70%, right? No, I don't think so. I think he didn't even show 50% of his strength. No way. Is there such a big gap between the 8th place on the local list and the 4th place on the local list? Of course, didn't you see Xiao Wuji's appearance? Not to mention sweating, I didn't even take a breath, it was obviously very relaxing. This Xiao Wuji is too scary. The 4th place on the Earth ranking is really well deserved. At only 19 years old, he is famous all over the world. It really fascinates our generation. Sword Sec Xiao Wuji has an invincible appearance. Well done Xiaoqianhu. It really makes me, Bijin Fuzi, look embarrassed. Xiaoqianhu is invincible. Win every battle. Xiao Wuji listened to all the discussions around him and just smiled without saying a word. Then he looked to the other side and said calmly, "Come out, you can no longer hide your murderous intent." After being swept by Xiao Wuji's eyes, several innate masters in the world were suddenly shocked, their faces were pale, and they were breaking out in cold sweat. I'm not, I haven't, Xiaoqianhu, don't get me wrong." A middle-aged man shook his head quickly, and his soul was shaking. Xiao Wuji was so terrifying, how could he dare to have murderous intention? "Idiot, I didn't talk about you, I said behind you. Go fast, go fast." A person next to me pulled the middle-aged man away. Seeing that he was so frightened, he couldn't help but cover his face. "This is too embarrassing, what? I just glanced at you, is it necessary to be so scared?" I almost peed. The middle-aged man just wanted to say, I'm really scared. Why don't you try it? A group of people walked away and separated a path, revealing a middle-aged man wearing blood clothes and a red crown. The middle-aged man has a delicate appearance and a very handsome face. His lips are as sharp as a knife and his eyebrows are raised. He looks a bit cold and evil. Blood-red clothes. Isn't this blood-red clothing? Someone among the heroes recognized Shui Hongai's identity, and there was a sound of exclamation. The heroes pointed and their eyes kept scanning over Shui Hongai's body. That's right, it's Shui Hongai, the deputy master of the evil blood sect, ranked 5th on the Earth rankings, second only to Xiao Wuji. I didn't expect that even Shui Hongai would come. It's really a lively day today. First there is Gongsun Ao, the 8th on the Earth ranking, and then there is the bloody red clothes, the 5th on the Earth ranking. Today's trip is really worth it. Blood Red 0.7 Yi is the deputy sect leader of the evil blood section. I heard that he started killing people when he was 9 years old. He grew up in killings and his killing methods are very cruel and vicious. 5th on the land list and 4th on the land list, this battle must be very exciting. The heroes' blood was boiling, and they all stared at Xiao Wuji and Shui Hongai. They knew that this battle must be even more exciting than the previous one. Shui Hongai, how dare you come to Jinling, how brave you are. Before Xiao Wuji could speak, a roar suddenly came from behind. The person who made the sound was Qinhu, a guard in uniform. Xiao Wuji remembered his name, Lei Ba. He became famous in the world with a set of lightning-running thunder fists. He was a master in the later period. The top master is also on the local ranking this time, several places higher than Na Matanga, ranking 32 on the local ranking. Among the 16,000 households in Fuzi, Bijan, his strength can be ranked in the top 5. At this moment Lei Ba's eyes were full of killing intent when he looked at Shui Hongai. His true energy surged all over his body, and the lightning flashed, electrifying the surrounding ground to black. It turned out to be Lei Qinhu, long time no see. Shui Hongai looked at Lei Ba, smiled slightly, cupped his hands and performed a Jianghu salute. Huh, you evil thief, you actually dare to come to Jinling City and throw yourself into a trap. Now that you are here today, you can never leave alive. Come here, form a large formation of royal guards. Lei Ba gave an order, and the men behind him immediately stepped forward. More than 200 people in blood-red clothes surrounded the middle.